Willow's Magical Life with Animals by Amadeo has garnered praise for its seamless blending of fiction and nonfiction. Through her experiences as an animal energy healer, the author crafts captivating stories that deeply resonate with her audience. This three-book series begins with Book 1, Candy Floss on the Moon, You Are Your Own Superhero, with Willow and her panda bear friend, Jelly Bee, embarking on a journey to the Milky Way on the back of a massive vulture and encountering celestial animals who share meaningful messages. Eventually, they meet Candy Floss, who teaches Willow that she is her own superhero. In Book 2, Secrets of the Milky Way, You Are Your Dream, Willow, accompanied by her guide, Hawk, travels through the crystal forest and into the sacred cave of wisdom, where she learns ancient energy healing secrets. The series concludes with Book 3, Magic of the Lotus Tiger, Walk Your Own Path, where Willow navigates the Himalaya mountains with a snow leopard named Ghost to unravel a fascinating puzzle set in Nepal's untamed jungle. Following Ghost's mysterious message, find the golden lotus and you will find the tiger. Book 1, Candy Floss on the Moon, You Are Your Own Superhero. Dedication, May Your Dreams Come True. Chapter 1, Let's Make a Wish. A soft, cuddly panda bear wearing a red scarf had been Willow's best friend since she could remember. While lying in bed, she thought about how much she loved her black and white bear with whom she shared her dreams and disappointments. Willow had named him Jelly Belly, but affectionately called him Jelly Bee. He was a good listener and always there for her. She trusted him. There it was. Willow had intentionally left the curtains open to gaze at the magical full moon that shone brightly. Moonbeams streamed across her crimson-red bed quilt. They were brighter than usual, and she was sure she could feel their warmth. "Jelly Bee, I bet you can feel it too," said Willow. Even the stars were brighter than she had remembered. The night sky was electrifying. "Jelly Bee, have you ever thought of living on the moon among the twinkling stars?" asked Willow. Jelly Bee listened intently. "Jelly Bee, let's make a wish on that brightest star. Can you see it? It is vivid pink. Was it new?" She focused all her attention on the pink star. Then, finally, she said, "Jelly Bee and I wish we could fly away together to the moon, to the many beautiful stars, and live there together forever, in peace and love." She crossed her fingers and sighed deeply, hoping her wish would come true. As she attempted to drift into the comforting kingdom of sleep, familiar feelings of hopelessness returned and doubts entered her mind. It was another night of crying herself to sleep. Chapter 2, Can We? Jelly Bee's imagination exploded as he thought of living on the moon. Willow knew that the life of a panda was all about having fun, although now he looked serious. Jumping up and down joyfully, Jelly Bee asked, "Willow, can we? Can we go?" He knew it was Willow's dream to go to the moon. So why not? Would it be scary? A deep, booming voice from above said, "I will take you." Then, with a dramatic downward swoop, a massive jet-black bird landed before her. It was a vulture. Willow jumped from surprise and fear. He looked mystical. His piercing black eyes stared deeply into hers. They were riveting. Should she run? "Who are you?" asked Willow. "I am Turbo," he replied. His size was overwhelming. Willow stood frozen as she struggled for words. "Turbo, why should I trust you? I do not know you," she stammered. Jelly Bee insisted, "Willow, I know Turbo. We can trust him. He will protect us and keep us safe." Willow trusted Jelly Bee's judgment. But would it be possible to fly high into the night sky on the back of a bird? He certainly was no ordinary bird. Turbo quickly reassured them that it was possible. He told them he could float high on wind currents to reach anywhere on planet Earth and beyond. Willow asked Turbo if he had been to the moon. "Unfortunately, I have not, but I would love to go," Turbo replied enthusiastically. "I can do it. I will show you. After all, my name is Turbo, so maybe I am turbocharged. Let's find out. We can leave Snowflake Crossing tonight." Turbo danced merrily in a circle while flapping his immense feathery wings. "I have an amazing idea," he said. "I know of a place you will never forget. It's a place with a billion stars and many secrets called the magical Milky Way." "Yes, yes, let's go," they cheered. Jellybee laughed as he rolled and did cartwheels in the soft snow. Willow loved how his chubby little tummy jiggled when he laughed. Willow knew her home was a great distance from the Milky Way. Could they really go there? It was final. "We will leave at midnight," said Willow. Chapter 3. All Aboard. Snow fell softly as Willow and Jellybee ran to meet Turbo. Snowflake Crossing was quiet at midnight. Occasionally they slowed down to admire the twinkling stars above, knowing they would be there soon. Turbo greeted them. "Look what I brought. Chocolate and peanut butter cookies." Willow praised him. "These are fabulous treats, Turbo. You are very kind." Jellybee, with his sweet tooth, smiled from ear to ear. Turbo was tall, so it was a reach for Willow to push Jellybee up and onto his back. Turbo asked, "Are you both aboard?" Willow replied, "Not quite." Jellybee grabbed Willow by both hands and pulled her up to sit beside him. Then, with a big grin, Willow and Jellybee cried in unison, "Ready for takeoff, Turbo!" They huddled together to keep warm while wrapping themselves in Turbo's warm feathers. Jingle, the fox, was a friend to everyone in Snowflake Crossing, and he had been watching. Jingle called to them, "I am very excited for you. I will be in my fox den looking up into the sky. I will wave." Sitting together on a nearby fence, Jazz and Tango echoed, "We will wave too. We love to meow at the full moon." They were Willow's two furry kitty friends, and she adored them. Willow wished she could take them with her, but instead she called back, "We will all go together next time." Would there be a next time? Turbo told them that although he did not know how long the journey would take, it would be long and cold. Turbo spread his mighty wings as he ran faster and faster toward one of Snowflake Crossing's most picturesque areas, the gorge. Finally, reaching the cliff's edge, he took a giant leap into nothing. An upward-moving wind current nestled nicely under his wings, allowing him to glide high above the canyon. Higher and higher, they flew into the night sky. While soaring above Snowflake Crossing, Willow admired the town's ice castles that sparkled like rainbow prisms. The wind tossed Willow's hair wildly, while Jellybee's long red scarf trailed behind them. They flew faster and higher. Turbo was impressive. He really lived up to his name. Willow and Jellybee had finally settled in for the ride. "Turbo, the sky looks amazing," said Jellybee. Willow asked, "Why is the sky green, pink, and gold? It looks like it has been painted." Turbo replied they were witnessing the dazzling beauty of the northern lights. He explained legend says it happens when the sun reflects off icebergs at the North Pole. Unfortunately, only some are lucky enough to see the northern lights. I believe this is a positive omen for our trip. Willow and Jellybee said one day they would love to visit the North Pole, the land of ice and snow. Turbo replied, "Maybe I can take you there too." They beamed with joy. They all agreed that nature is truly magical. It brought smiles to their faces. Willow told Turbo, "We must keep our eyes wide open. We do not want to miss a thing on this trip." Chapter 4. The Meteor Shower. The full moon lit their way. Willow knew that without Turbo, this adventure would not have been possible. Suddenly, they were being thrown around and rocked side to side. They cuddled together even closer as they swirled, almost rolling upside down. They held on for their life. Willow cried, "What is Turbo doing? Were they going to crash? Would they ever see Snowflake Crossing again?" Turbo shouted frantically, "Willow, Jellybee, brace yourselves! I am doing the best I can!" Willow could not hold on much longer. She began to slip off Turbo's back. Jellybee tried to help her, but it was too much for him. At the last second, she finally grabbed Jellybee's red scarf. He felt her pulling on him. He was frightened he would slip off with her. Jellybee wrapped his front paws around Turbo's neck and held on tightly. Just then, Turbo made a sudden sharp turn, forcing Willow onto his back again. Jellybee breathed a sigh of relief. But it wasn't over. "Cover your heads!" Turbo shrieked. "More are coming!" More of what? What did Turbo mean? "I am so afraid that I want to cry," Willow said. An extremely frightened Jellybee said, "Me too, I want to go home, Willow." Turbo heard their fear and shouted to them, "I don't know when this will end, but I promise to protect you, and I will. I have never encountered a meteor shower, but I am sure that we can survive it. You can trust me." "What is a meteor?" asked Jellybee. Willow explained meteors are pieces of rock from outer space that turn into fireballs when they enter planet Earth's atmosphere. Luckily, they burn up quickly and will not hit the Earth. Willow wondered if she had been too eager to go on this adventure. Finally, Willow remarked, "Jellybee, maybe we should have stayed in Snowflake Crossing, where we know it is safe." "More fireballs!" yelled Turbo. Willow cried back, "So, how can we escape something so dangerous?" Flashes of fire flew past them. With incredible strength and lightning speed, Turbo ducked in and out, and back and forth to avoid the meteors. How long could Turbo continue the battle without becoming too tired? Willow reminded herself that she had put her trust and life into Turbo's ability. She had to believe in him. Still filled with great fear, Jellybee buried himself deeper into Turbo's feathers. Again, Turbo shouted, "I must change our course to fly around Venus. It is the best chance we have. It should not take long. Hold on while I make a sudden drop and a sharp turn right now." With a hard swoop to the right and a few twists and turns, Willow and Jellybee were upside down and flying in a circle. They continued their fight to hold on. How tired poor Turbo must be. Willow was worried for him. Then they realized that planet Venus had disappeared behind them. In a matter of minutes, Turbo had done what he had promised. It was over and calm again. Willow called to Turbo, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, Turbo. You kept your promise. We knew you would. You are our hero." They could not have survived the meteor shower with anyone other than him. "Hold my hand, Jellybee," said Willow. Jellybee's fuzzy, soft paw reached for Willow's hand and held it gently. Willow sighed and relaxed. Then she asked him, "Does all of this feel real to you?" Chapter 5. Treats Anyone. Once again, they peacefully flew through the dark sky where billions of prism-like stars surrounded them. The stars twinkled brilliant green, purple, gold, and blue. They were much closer now. Willow noted many of the colors were quite indescribable. Turbo said, "Keep watching, but first look under the feathers of my right wing." Jellybee quickly combed deeper and deeper through Turbo's thick feathers. Found them. More chocolate and peanut butter cookies? Jellybee loved sweets and would never turn down a cookie. He saw other treats there too, but guessed they would be for later. The temperature dropped as they flew to great heights. Willow felt chilly. Happily, she found a thick blanket under Turbo's other wing. He had thought of everything. Willow huddled closer to Jellybee as she pulled the fluffy white blanket around them. They began to sing and laugh as they munched on cookies. Willow was so happy to be with Jellybee. He was the only one she wanted to be with on this adventure. Jellybee asked, "Willow, what is the first thing you want to do when we arrive?" Her imagination ran wild. Chapter 6. Snowjet the Flying White Horse. "A white horse with wings?" exclaimed Jellybee. "It's Snowjet," replied Willow. "I know him from my storybooks. He is the trusty war horse who carried Zeus's lightning bolt. Zeus is known as the god of the sky. Because of Snowjet's loyalty and bravery, Zeus placed him amongst the stars in the night sky." "Impressive," said Turbo. "He is coming our way." The stallion's golden star-covered mane blew around in the wind, and his tail swished, propelling him closer. Snowjet circled Turbo and nodded his head to warmly greet him. "What is he doing, Willow?" asked Jellybee. "I don't know. It is very mysterious." Then Snowjet positioned himself to fly next to Turbo. Jellybee told Willow he had not realized horses were so majestic and magical. Although she wondered why he had come, she was thrilled to see him in real life. Snowjet asked Turbo, "Where have you come from, and where are you going?" Turbo answered, We have come from planet Earth. I promised Willow and Jellybee I would take them to the Milky Way. Snowjet turned to look at Willow and Jellybee. Is this your first trip to the Milky Way? Snowjet asked. Yes, it is, and we are extremely excited. He said, Turbo, you must be getting tired. How did Snowjet know Turbo's name? He smiled and told Snowjet he was getting tired, although only a little. Come closer, Turbo. Slide onto my back. It'll be easier and faster this way. Then you can rest and enjoy the trip with Willow and Jellybee. I would be extremely honored if you would allow me to take you to the Milky Way. Snowjet knew their names too. Cautiously, Turbo positioned himself close to Snowjet. Then, with Willow and Jellybee still on Turbo's back, he carefully perched himself gently onto Snowjet. Once securely on, they all marveled at the size and beauty of Snowjet's wings. They were immense and stretched out on either side of them. He was spectacular. Everyone ready? He asked. Turbo wrapped his long, thin legs around Snowjet's sides and gripped tightly. We are ready, Snowjet. Willow, Jellybee, hold on, instructed Turbo. It took little effort for Snowjet's strong wings to gain extreme speed. They each smiled excitedly as Snowjet found his way through vast amounts of shimmering stars. It was like a maze. Willow was sure that she could almost touch them. The three relaxed as they sped safely through the star-illuminated sky. Finally, Willow and Jellybee laid their head down to rest. They were tired. Turbo, though, was still far too keen to sleep. He watched closely. He wanted to remember the route for next time. Eventually, Willow awoke and raised her head to look around. She commented, Snowjet, it is so beautiful here. But there in the distance, something unrecognizable was fast approaching. Should we be frightened? She asked. Chapter 7. Flame. The Golden Dragon. Jagged shafts of fire streaked across the dark sky as she approached them. Fearful, Willow quickly covered her face and peeked between her fingers. Brilliant, flashing green eyes were coming closer. Snowjet calmly asked, Isn't she spectacular? This is my good friend Flame, an exotic golden-scaled dragon from the planet Neptune. Flame has come to supercharge the speed of our trip. A blaze of glowing red fire shot from Flame's mouth, followed by fierce black clouds of billowing smoke. Snowjet instructed them to hold on as he landed on a long shaft of fire. The heat was intense. Willow expected another bumpy ride. Thunder rolled and crashed. As they flew faster, their eyes watered with the wind viciously swirling around them. Welcome to the magical Milky Way, announced Snowjet. Willow took a deep breath and could barely speak. Then, excitedly, she squealed, The Milky Way! It's really the Milky Way! As Flame soared lazily amongst the star-filled sky, her green eyes continued glowing and flashing as she positioned herself to travel beside them. Snowjet pointed out that the Milky Way was not just any galaxy, but a spiral filled with magic. Willow had something on her mind. Snowjet, before we leave, may we visit the moon? Snowjet replied, Leave? We have lots to see and many special visits before you consider leaving. Flame remained as their guide. Turbo had been exceptionally quiet. Like Willow, he was mesmerized by the magnificence. Then Jellybee remembered that some of Snowjet's white wing feathers had floated onto his lap, which he had carefully scooped up to share with his friends later. Chapter 8. Aquila, the White Eagle. Snowjet announced, Our first stop is the powerful star constellation Aquila, which means eagle. Can you see how the stars form the shape of an eagle? Aquila and I have both had the honor of carrying Zeus's lightning bolt. Aquila is the brightest star of the summer triangle. They watched closely as Aquila came to life, and the stars turned into a magnificent white eagle. A real live white eagle, said Jellybee. The eagle flew around them. Welcome to the Milky Way, my friends. I am so happy that you have come. Aquila continued, I have a special gift for you. I know how much you have enjoyed flying with Turbo and Snowjet. Do you know that you can have the feeling of flying free whenever you would like? I will teach you. Aquila said, "Accept and love who you are inside and out, and always be fair and decent to yourself. Your inner beauty is soul deep. If you can do this, it will set you free. It will give you the freedom to be your authentic self. Then you will fly in more ways than you have ever thought possible. Your heart will sing. Do you think that you can do this? I believe that you can. I believe in you, Willow." She felt warm inside. "Yes," said Willow. "I can do this, and I will do this. Thank you, Aquila." "It's time to go," said Snowjet. "May I hug you?" Willow asked Aquila. "Of course you may. I will always accept a hug from a kind and gentle soul," he replied. Willow reached up and wrapped her arms around his warm, feathery neck. She hugged him as tightly as she could. "You are wonderful, Aquila," she said. He replied, "By the way, Willow, you must visit Marshmallow before you leave the Milky Way. Please do this for me." Marshmallow. Yummy, thought Jellybee. He loved marshmallows. Just thinking about the sweet treats and chocolate milk made his mouth water. Chapter 9. Taurus the White Bull. They flew through the sky with Flame leading the way. Snowjet said, "I am excited for you to meet Taurus the Bull." "Is he friendly?" asked Jellybee. "He is very friendly, Jellybee. I know you will love him." Taurus, the great white bull, was a superb star constellation with undeniable strength. As they approached him, his front hooves pawed the night air while steam began to billow from his nostrils. Taurus was building up power and energy. He stampeded towards them. Turbo cried out, "He's charging us!" Snowjet said, "Taurus is just eager. He cannot wait to meet you." Taurus snorted and tossed his head in the air to greet them. There was no doubt that Taurus was incredible. "Hello," said Willow. "We are happy to meet you, Taurus. We have never met a real bull. Initially we were afraid, but Snowjet reassured us that you are kind. We thought you would charge us, but we understand now that is what you do when you are happy." Taurus agreed. "Yes, that is true. Thank you, Snowjet, for explaining this to our guests. All of the star constellations in the Milky Way are delighted you have come. Unfortunately, guests from planet Earth are rare. We hope that you will visit often." He explained, "Many fear me, although I would not harm a soul. But I am here to help and to teach those who want to learn." Taurus was different. Willow listened to him closely. "Taurus, we just came from visiting Aquila. He shared a valuable lesson. Are you going to do the same?" she asked. "I am glad you have asked," he said. "Willow, do you know there is a way to avoid feeling the ill effects of negativity from others? I call it building resilience." Willow said she did not know what resilience meant. It was a new word for her. Resilience is the ability to recover quickly from emotional difficulty and to have a little inner toughness to repel hurtful things people sometimes send our way. Resilience also helps us to not strike back at others. Does this make sense, Willow? She said she understood completely. Taurus explained further, "It's like being an elastic band. You can spring right back from negative or hurtful words. You can easily throw it away so it will not affect you and never think of it again. What do you think, Willow?" She replied, "This is completely new to me too. I am sure I can do it." "This makes me happy, Willow," said Taurus. "Never again will you be affected by anyone's negativity. I am so proud of your strength." "Taurus, whenever I think of resilience, I will remember your strength," said Willow. Snowjet told them it was time to go. "Thank you, Taurus. I will always remember you," said Willow. As Taurus turned to charge off, she overheard him whisper to Snowjet that they must visit Marshmallow before leaving the Milky Way. But who is Marshmallow? Snowjet said that a gift awaited them. "What is it?" asked Turbo. They would find out very soon. It was a surprise like no other. "Wow," said Jellybee. "We have already had many amazing surprises since arriving here." Snowjet replied, "Jellybee, trust me, you will love it." Off Snowjet flew, carrying Turbo, Willow, and Jellybee. Their curiosity grew. Chapter 10. Big Bear and Little Bear. Snowjet flew slower as he asked his friends to look below to see the Big Dipper, also known as Big Bear. Looking at the dipper from this perspective, they saw the bear shape. Snowjet approached the Big Dipper very carefully. He circled it slowly until he was directly above its center. "Turbo, Willow, Jelly Bee," called Snowjet. "Do you see it below?" They replied that they did. He explained he would gently place each of them down inside the Big Dipper to experience something beautiful. "Inside the Big Dipper?" asked Willow in disbelief. Jelly Bee told Willow they would be safe. Snowjet had instructed them to wait a moment and to keep watching. There it was. A large, furry, brown bear paw rose upwards towards them. It looked gentle and soft. Snowjet's shimmering mane blew toward them. He explained, "One at a time, hold my mane tightly. I will lower you down. It is safe." They trusted Snowjet. Turbo went first. Before long, he was standing in the center of the paw. Then, looking up at Willow and Jelly Bee, he shouted, "You will love this. Come join me." Snowjet lowered Willow next, and then Jelly Bee. The three friends stood together, gazing with awe into the starry sky. Then, Snowjet suggested they should relax and enjoy everything in the Big Dipper. They were still staring into the spectacular night sky when they felt the bear paw lift them higher and higher. Slowly, the paw spun them around several times in a circle. It reminded Willow of a ride at the Snowflake Crossing Fair. Looking upwards, the Little Dipper had appeared. Snowjet told them the Little Dipper is known as Little Bear. Willow said, "I hear music." Then, from Little Dipper above, billions of sparkling stars tumbled onto them. Soon they were blanketed in shimmering gold, red, blue, silver, purple, green, pink, and orange, receiving powerful star energy. They were speechless. They remembered Snowjet telling them everything they saw and heard was especially for them. Blessings of Starlight were a gift of balance given to them by the galaxy. They were deeply grateful. Snowjet was pleased, as was Flame, who had remained in the distance overseeing their safety. What a gift! Snowjet once again flew to hover above them. He lowered his long mane for each to take their turn, being safely pulled up and onto his back. Finally, on Snowjet's back again, they realized they felt different and took turns sharing thoughts about their inner peace. "We have one more visit," said Snowjet. He flew faster and faster upwards. "Willow, I believe you know our destination." Willow replied, "The moon?" "Please, Snowjet, is it time to visit the moon?" Snowjet told her they were getting closer. It would be soon. For now, they could relax as they sped across the star-lit sky. Jelly Bee spoke up. "Do you have more cookies, Turbo?" "I most certainly do, Jelly Bee. I do not go anywhere without yummy cookies to share," said Snowjet as he passed him the cookies. "My friends Snowjet and Flame, would you like a cookie too? I am more than happy to share with all of my friends." Chapter 11. Cygnus, the White Swan. Until now, Willow had not given much thought to animals living in the Milky Way. How wonderful it would be to live here in vast amounts of beauty and love. But could she? "Look over there. Do I see a swan?" Turbo asked. Snowjet confirmed that he did, and her name is Cygnus. He explained that she is an angelic-like waterfowl that swims through the Milky Way River. Gorgeous white Cygnus flapped her thick white wings and flew over to greet them. "Welcome to my home," said Cygnus. "You have made many new friends on your journey. Each one has shared special wisdom with you." Willow responded, "Oh yes, we are blessed." Cygnus explained that it had been necessary for them to visit Big Bear and Little Bear before meeting her. "The two bears showered you with innumerable starlight blessings that will follow you for life. Now you are ready to receive my gift of grace," she said. "Grace, I don't know what that means, but it sounds special," Jelly Bee said. Turbo agreed, saying, "I love that word, Cygnus. It makes me feel warm inside." Willow felt the same and asked Cygnus to tell them more. Cygnus explained that grace is a spiritual gift. Love and mercy are given to others. even when we feel it is hard to provide because of their behaviors. Grace means being courteous, mannerly, gentle with others' feelings, and ready to offer compassion and goodwill without judgment. Cygnus made a point to ask Willow if she had any questions about Grace. Her message was significant and essential for Willow to fully understand it. Willow, you must show grace to yourself too. The gift of grace is one of the most important to remember. Before leaving, Cygnus said, "Marshmallow awaits you, Willow. Please enjoy your visit there." Then, gracefully and elegantly, Cygnus turned and flew back to her spot in the sky, where she turned into her stunning star formation. Intuitively, Willow knew there was great importance in visiting Marshmallow. Still, she could not help but wonder why so many others felt the same. Marshmallow continued to be a mystery. Chapter 12. Aquarius the Great One. "Watch the sky," said Snowjet. Closer now, Snowjet pointed out the Gemini twins. As they flew past, the twins waved and blew them kisses. "Such sweet and kind children," commented Willow. Then Aquarius came into view. They watched as a young man poured something from a jug. Snowjet told them that Aquarius, known as the Great One, offers life-sustaining water and nectar. "Turbo, lean to the right, please, and hold on tight," instructed Snowjet. "As we fly closer, Aquarius will toss you a flask. Stretch out your wing as far as possible to catch it, Turbo." Snowjet no sooner finished speaking when a glowing blue flask spun through the air toward them. Turbo reached and reached as far as he could. "I can do this," he thought. "I have it!" Turbo shouted excitedly. Turbo's wing held the blue flask tightly. They all cheered. He really was their hero. Then, waving to Aquarius, they said, "Thank you. You are very kind, and we are grateful." Aquarius bowed his head slowly in acknowledgement. Willow could not control her joy and shouted to Aquarius, "I am so happy that you are my zodiac sign." Snowjet smiled. Willow asked, "May we open the flask, Snowjet?" He answered, "Yes, but slowly and cautiously. Now take a sniff." Jellybee was eager. He smelled something sweet inside. "May I try it, please? It smells so yummy," said Jellybee. Snowjet suggested they each take a drink of the nectar prepared especially for them. It had the power to cure illnesses and keep them healthy. Snowjet wanted them to know this was yet another blessing for them. Chapter 13. Gratitude. Willow felt overcome with gratitude as she turned to Jellybee and Turbo. "These are our forever friends. I feel so safe and loved here. Let's show them how we feel," she said. With their arms, paws, and wings outstretched towards their friends who surrounded them in the Milky Way, they shouted, "Thank you, everyone. We will remember you and love you always." Willow's thoughts had returned to Aquila, Cygnus, and Taurus. She had noticed that Aquila and Cygnus had white feathers, and Taurus had a white coat. Then she realized Snowjet had a white coat too. She knew most birds and animals on Earth were different colors, but so far this was not the case here. Was this significant? "Snowjet, I have noticed that Aquila, Cygnus, Taurus, and you all have white feathers or coats. Is it a coincidence?" asked Willow. Snowjet explained that those with great wisdom often have white feathers or coats of white hair. He continued, "Your Milky Way friends are an excellent example. Actually, white contains every color in the spectrum, so it is very colorful." Willow had not realized this. From now on, she would see the color white very differently. Snowjet explained further, elements of the color white include knowledge, love, balance, harmony, rebirth, and spiritual awakening. Willow's eyes grew more expressive than usual as she listened to Snowjet. "Thank you, Snowjet. I am appreciative of this meaningful lesson," said Willow. "Please, please, please, may we visit the moon now?" He replied, "Of course we can, although first, please say goodbye to Flame. For now, she is leaving us to return to planet Neptune." There was sadness in their eyes as they waved goodbye and wished her well. Silence fell over the group as they watched Flame gracefully swish her elegant, long, golden-scaled tail and flash her brilliant green eyes before quickly disappearing into the glittering jewels of a giant star cloud where stars are born, leaving behind only a trail of fiery sparks and billowing smoke. Snowjet broke the silence. "Let's go to the moon and unravel the mystery of Marshmallow." Chapter 14. Soft and Squishy Marshmallow. Willow's heart beat faster and harder as they neared the glowing pink ball. Willow wondered why the moon was covered in bubblegum pink mist. It had never looked pink from Snowflake Crossing, although she had to admit it was impressive and visually soothing. From this vantage point, it was more spectacular and majestic than ever. She told Jellybee and Turbo that fairy tales say the moon is made of cheese. Jellybee loved cheese, although he knew it was unhealthy for a bear. "Willow, do you think it is true?" Jellybee asked her. Turbo suggested they ask Snowjet. He overheard them talking and said soon they would see for themselves. As Snowjet approached his final landing, they all recognized that something felt different. It was magical and mystical. Snowjet landed with great precision. Willow, Jellybee, and Turbo were captivated by what they saw. "Are you curious?" asked Snowjet. His voice brought them back from their dreamlike state. Slipping off Snowjet's back, Jellybee's first comment was that he did not think the moon smelled like cheese. They all laughed. "Listen," said Willow. "Music. That instrument is so unusual." "Are there any vultures like me living on the moon?" asked Turbo. Snowjet replied that he had not seen any. There was no mistake that the moon felt hauntingly serene. Glistening rainbow colors rose from its surface. Snowjet remarked, "It's not far. Do you see the flickering pink light coming through the bushes? It will lead you to an entrance that will take you below the moon's surface. I must return to the Milky Way, but you can be with me in your dreams. Just call my name." Willow, Jellybee, and Turbo were sad that Snowjet was leaving, although happy they could see him again when they slept. "Now, go to the light. They are expecting you," urged Snowjet. "They?" Willow wondered who Snowjet was referring to. "I wish the moon's stunning rainbow colors could be seen from Snowflake Crossing," said Turbo. Delicate lotus fairies escorted Willow and her friends as they picked their way through the dense bushes while getting closer to the sound of gentle music. Then, the fairies motioned them to step onto a carpet of golden leaves. Then, they crouched down to go through the entrance to walk deeper and deeper into the moon's heart. The pink light continued to illuminate their way. Deep inside, at the bottom of the moon, dazzling pink fireflies darted back and forth. It was an enchanting world of pink. They looked up, down, to the right and left while the music played on. They were spellbound. Chapter 15. A rabbit hole? Willow commented that perhaps this was a rabbit hole. Had they taken the wrong path? "Hello, my friends." Willow, Jellybee, and Turbo looked around to see who had welcomed them. "I am over here," said the soft, friendly voice. Willow spotted a fluffy white rabbit sitting on a purple velvet cushion. She was so very tiny. "I am so happy you are here. I am Marshmallow." "A rabbit? She's a rabbit," said Willow, ecstatic to finally meet the mysterious Marshmallow. The three friends were invited to sit close. Jellybee was drawn to a small wicker stool off to the side. He wondered how a rabbit could be on the moon. Marshmallow asked if they were enjoying their unforgettable journey through the Milky Way. Then, they each took turns sharing the many highlights of their trip with Marshmallow, who smiled knowingly. She said she was happy their adventures had been enlightening for them. Marshmallow said, "You have made many Milky Way friends. Each one extended an invitation for you to visit the moon. They mentioned me, too." Marshmallow continued, "Your Milky Way friends also shared unique wisdom with you. Please, my friends, remember what you have been told and everything you have experienced here. The value you place on yourself will extend to the value you place on all others and all living things now and forever. Others will recognize this about you with your every action. You will be a positive example of kindness and compassion. Never forget this." Her powerful message left them breathless. Marshmallow asked, Would you like some tea?" "Yes, please," said Willow and Turbo. Before Jellybee could answer, Marshmallow had turned to him and asked if he would like hot chocolate instead. "Yes, please. I love chocolate. Might it be possible to add a small marshmallow or two?" "Of course," said Marshmallow as she winked at him. They both giggled. While Marshmallow poured the tea, she told Jellybee she had some pastries for him, too. "They will be the perfect match for your hot chocolate," she said. Jellybee's eyes grew curious as she presented him with an attractive box of 3 mouth-watering pastries. Their design was unique. "Jellybee, these are mooncakes. I made them especially for you. Aren't they delightful?" Jellybee had never seen such fancy pastries. "Wow, the moon has its own cakes," said Jellybee. "They smell delicious." Although he knew about treats, mooncakes were new to him, so maybe they were only found on the moon. Jellybee smelled their sweet sugar aroma and knew with no uncertainty they were not made of cheese and that they would taste spectacular. "Marshmallow, I will share my mooncakes with Willow and Turbo," Jellybee said joyfully. As much as Jellybee adored sweets, he loved his dearest friends more and wanted to share his mooncakes. Marshmallow's heart was happy as she watched Jellybee offer mooncakes to his friends. He told Marshmallow that Willow and Turbo were easy to share with. "Jellybee, you are a very kind and selfless little bear," Marshmallow commented. Jellybee blushed. Happily, he knew Marshmallow would never see his cute little face turn red under his lovely black and white fur. Marshmallow said it was time. "I have something extra special for you. This, my friends, is the reason for your visit." Chapter 16. Candy Floss. Surprise! "Are you ready? Keep your eyes on the golden curtain across the room," said Marshmallow. "We are more than ready," said Turbo. The Lotus Fairies returned with their soothing music. Their delicate see-through wings sparkled, and they were stunning. The fairies flew and danced effortlessly, forming a circle around Willow, Jellybee, and Turbo. Each fairy respectfully bowed their head, with the 3 friends returning their admiration. Marshmallow felt deep appreciation and joy while observing her new friends' gratitude. The volume of the music had increased. Finally, Willow commented, "Marshmallow, this is more magical than I could ever have imagined." Dramatically, the curtain swept open, exposing a brilliant ball of white light. While Willow shielded her eyes from the brightness, she remembered what Snowjet had said about the color white. They all stood frozen as they watched to see what would happen next. The ball of light slowly changed shape, and there she stood. Willow broke the silence first, saying, "Exquisite, elegant, and simply magnificent. My friends, I would like to introduce Candy Floss," said Marshmallow. Candy Floss took their breath away. She was a spectacular pink Angora rabbit, tall, elegant, fluffy, and more captivating than anyone could have guessed. Willow thought how soft her fur must be, and she wished she could hug her tightly. Marshmallow, too. She looked squishy. Now, standing before them, Candy Floss graciously bowed to Willow, Jellybee, and Turbo. She was radiant with long floppy ears, violet eyes, and a gentle smile. On her head, she wore an unusual, fluffy white fur wreath. Then, "Peekaboo, it's me," said Marshmallow. A little pink nose and bright blue eyes had popped out of the wreath, followed by a giggle. "Are you surprised? Candy Floss and I are inseparable," she smiled. "Turbo, when you suggested a trip to the Milky Way, you had no idea its purpose had been to visit us," said Marshmallow. Chapter 17. Candy Floss shares her story. Marshmallow hopped into her dearest friend's arms. Candy Floss stroked Marshmallow's soft fur as she began to tell them her story. "A long time ago, before you were born, my home was on planet Earth. I lived with my family in a deep rabbit hole." Willow looked puzzled. "As a baby bunny, I was sad and lonely because the other bunnies teased me. I was a fluffy pink ball of fur. They said I did not look like them and that I looked funny. They called me ugly. They chased me and threatened to hurt me. I had done nothing wrong. I was a bunny like they were and only wanted to be their friend. I was simply a different color. Because of this, I was frightened to leave my rabbit hole. I was tiny, like Marshmallow, who was my only friend. Others did not care that I felt sad or afraid. Even my siblings disowned me. Because of this, my nervous stomach was always full of butterflies. Candy Floss continued, "My fears gave me terrible nightmares and feelings of panic. I could not breathe, and my heart beat too fast. I thought I was going to die." Marshmallow added, "Like you, Willow, Candy Floss lived a life of loneliness and fear. Almost every night, she curled up inside a dark corner of her rabbit hole and cried herself to sleep. It was her only safe place. If she experienced pleasant dreams, it was a temporary escape, a little relief, and a taste of freedom from what felt like a life of doom. I held her paw to comfort her." While Willow listened keenly, she saw Candy Floss's eyes glistening with tears. Willow thought of her own very similar experiences. Candy Floss continued, "Willow, I felt alone in the world. I was told I did not look like the other bunnies, did not fit in, and would never fit in. Yet I had to try. I desperately wanted to be accepted, but look at me. I am much fluffier than the average Angora bunny, and it is true, I am the color of pink Candy Floss." With the utmost compassion, Willow told Candy Floss that she understood and felt her pain. She shared that she, too, had been bullied in a very similar way. Candy Floss acknowledged her. "Yes, Willow, I know. So many nights you cried yourself to sleep, too." How did Candy Floss know? Jumping up and down like bunnies do when they are excited, little Marshmallow said, "Willow, I look different, too. Don't you think I look like a squishy white marshmallow?" Willow told Marshmallow that she was the sweetest marshmallow she knew. Jellybee was eager to comment. "Yum! I love Candy Floss and marshmallows," he said, and they all laughed. Candy Floss said, "One day I was told there was no place for me on planet Earth and I had to leave. I was allowed to take only one thing with me. I chose my best friend Marshmallow. Although she was a stuffed animal then, she was my special friend. She was my constant companion who had never let me down. I trusted her." Willow was amazed. This sounded like herself and Jellybee. Candy Floss smiled again. "Willow, the moon and the Milky Way are magical. The Milky Way is where our stuffed animal friends come to life. After arriving on the moon, Marshmallow and I were promised we would be immortal." Jellybee whispered to Willow, "What does immortal mean?" She explained to Jellybee that it meant Candy Floss and Marshmallow would live forever and ever. "Willow, because of my life experiences, I understand yours. Do you see how our lives are alike?" asked Candy Floss. Willow's mind was reeling. "Yes, I see, Candy Floss. I feel all alone in the world, too." "How did you cope with being neglected and feeling abandoned?" asked Willow. "But you are not alone, Willow. And you can never be abandoned if you do not give up on yourself. You know now that you have the answer. This is why you met Snowjet, Flame, Aquila, Taurus, Big Bear, Little Bear, and Cygnus. You needed this wisdom to guide you. You will soon see how things will change," assured Candy Floss. Chapter 18. Always Remember. Candy Floss wanted to be sure that Willow understood the wisdom she had been given, so she explained further. "Your greatest teachers have brought you these gifts. Aquila taught you self-acceptance and to love yourself inside and out. In every way, you are enough. This wisdom will set you free. Taurus taught you resilience, the ability to recover quickly from difficulties, and inner toughness to repel hurtful feelings people sometimes send us without striking back. Big Bear and Little Bear showered you with blessings of great power and energy from the mystical Milky Way stars, a gift of balance given to you by the galaxy. Cygnus taught grace, the gift of love and mercy shown to others, even when we feel it is hard to do so because of their behaviors. being courteous, mannerly, and gentle with others' feelings and ourselves. This includes being ready to offer compassion and goodwill to ourselves and others without judging. Aquila, Taurus, and Cygnus will always be your protectors, as well as Snowjet and Flame. In addition, your bear friends will continuously shower you with Starlight blessings. All of this will keep you safe and strong, said Candy Floss. Once again, Candy Floss told Willow she needed to fully understand her message. You will never be abandoned if you do not abandon yourself. Never give up on yourself, Willow. She absolutely needed to believe this and remember these words. Willow, you must always be your best and truest friend. You are your own superhero. No one else can do this for you, said Candy Floss. Your strength to try, regardless of the outcome, takes courage. Knowing that you have attempted will be meaningful, significant, and beneficial for the rest of your life. Be kind to yourself. Candy Floss explained, Willow, although you are unaware of it, you have many forms of unique creativity. Please be open to exploring. Bring your exceptional creativity into the world. Be vulnerable. You will see how creativity will bring beauty and peace to your life and others. Finally, we all have superpowers, and you are the only one who can discover what yours are. Listening to Candy Floss, Turbo suddenly realized he had found his superpowers. He had wanted to fly his friends to the Milky Way so much that he believed he could. Right then, he understood what his father had meant when he said, Turbo, you will be surprised at what you can accomplish if you try. Please, I beg you to give yourself a chance. Because Turbo had suffered from a lack of confidence, he had never given himself that chance until now. They were all so proud of him. Chapter 19. Willow's Life Purpose. Candy Floss told Willow she had been watching over her since that clear, cold January moonlit night when she was born. A tear of gratefulness rolled down Willow's cheek. Finally, she knew that someone had cared for her. With great enthusiasm, Willow said, Candy Floss, guess what? I know my life's purpose now. I vow to devote my entire life to all animals. My goal is to teach others about animals' important role in our lives. This will help both animals and people. Candy Floss was overcome with emotion. She told Willow she would continue to guide her during her meaningful journey, always helping her fulfill her purpose. Candy Floss told Willow that her Milky Way friends had a special gift for her. To honor your life's purpose, you will be known as the magical friend of the forest. I know you will bring light to many and do many significant things in your lifetime. Willow was deeply touched and asked Candy Floss how she got her pretty name. Candy Floss grinned. Marshmallow. Chose it. She said it was perfect for me. After all, I am pink and fluffy. Marshmallow quickly added, and sweet too. They were all quick to agree. Willow, Jellybee, and Turbo, you are always welcome to live with us here on the moon. Come anytime and stay for as long as you wish. You are family. Chapter 20. Was it goodbye? All three expressed their appreciation and excitement as they thought how wonderful it would be to live on the moon with Candy Floss and Marshmallow. Willow turned to Jellybee and Turbo. Let's seriously consider staying. We would have the most wonderful life, she told them. Then, compassionately, Turbo spoke. Willow, I have done much thinking while listening to Candy Floss. Isn't Earth the place you need to be, Willow, to fulfill your life's purpose? Oh my, Turbo was correct. Until she heard Turbo's wise words, she had been distracted by her thoughts of living on the moon. Even though Willow knew it would be challenging for her on Earth, she must return. After all, this was why she was born at last. She knew that she had the strength. It mattered not what others thought or said she could or could not do. Her superpower was an unquestioning belief in herself. She was doing a good thing in helping others. With support from the Milky Way, she could do absolutely anything. Willow turned to Candy Floss and Marshmallow. Although I would love to live here with you, in my heart, I know that my life's purpose will be best served on planet Earth, so I must return. I am greatly saddened to leave you and all my friends here in the Milky Way." Candy Floss was happy to witness Willow's conviction and to hear newfound confidence in her voice. She told Willow that if she needed help, she should look up to the moon and call out their names. They would always be looking over her, guiding and protecting her. It was not goodbye. Willow finally had the chance to hug Candy Floss and sweet little Marshmallow. They were softer and more huggable than she could ever have imagined. Marshmallow said, "Come on, everyone, group hug." Eagerly, they wrapped arms, paws, and wings around each other. Then Jellybee excitedly said, "I can't wait to tell my friends there is Candy Floss on the moon." Marshmallow said, "Willow, after you return to planet Earth, please remember to look up and wave. You too, Turbo and Jellybee. We have not disappeared, even if you cannot see us in your blue daytime sky. We are still here. We are always here watching over you." Chapter 21. The Star of Miracles. Candy Floss saw a hint of sadness in Willow's eyes. She approached her and whispered, "I have an idea. If you would like to stay in the Milky Way and also fulfill your life's purpose of helping animals, I can arrange that for you. Would you like that?" Willow replied excitedly, "Stay? In the Milky Way?" Jellybee and Turbo's ears perked up. It did not take much thought for Willow to answer yes. "Please tell us more, Candy Floss." She described a special place in the Milky Way called the Realm of the Crystal Forest, located on the mystical Star of Miracles. It would be the perfect place for her journey to begin. "When do we leave? May we go now?" asked Willow. Candy Floss and Marshmallow were delighted to see her excitement. "Of course you may," answered Candy Floss. She instructed everyone to sit cross-legged on the floor. Sitting this way was unusual for a panda bear, but Jellybee was a good sport and did not hesitate. Candy Floss explained that new friends would be there to look after them, and she would visit too. "Are you ready?" asked Candy Floss. She asked them to close their eyes tightly and explained it would be like magic. They would be there on the count of 3. Soft pink, violet, gold, and sapphire blue bubbles drifted to cover the 3 friends. Candy Floss whispered, "Now relax and take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. This is the end of Book 1. Book 2, Secrets of the Milky Way. You Are Your Dream. Dedication. Dad, I wish you were here. Chapter 1. Was it real? Willow awoke to a sun-filled morning filled with happy bird songs. She blinked, bringing her surroundings into focus. Turbo was outside, cheerfully flapping his wings in the warm sunlight. Finally, she looked over at Jellybee, who was snuggled beside her and snoring. Why was he holding white feathers in his paws? Where am I? She remembered that Candy Floss had promised her a new home close to the moon, on the Star of Miracles. Was this the realm of the Crystal Forest? It was time to explore. Chapter 2. Magical Friend of the Forest. Willow had always honored all of nature and was full of love for the outdoors. She greeted the trees, birds, and animals on her daily walks. With Jellybee and Turbo by her side, she wandered happily through the magical green forest close to her new home. This was the perfect place for her. She knew her friends loved it too. As she wandered, she stopped and placed her hands on tree trunks. This was something she always had done. It helped her sense how the tree was feeling. Tiny, colorful flowers bowed their heads with love and appreciation of Willow's understanding of the oneness of all things living. Animals and birds visited her along the way. They enjoyed blending their energies with her radiant aura of peacefulness and grace. They all knew who she was. In her own way, she had always attempted to heal them. This was her passion. She knew it was her life's purpose. It felt like spring, Willow's favorite time of the year. She noticed newly sprouted leaves and grass had turned that unique shade of green. It was brilliant green, soft on the eyes and warming to the heart. Seeing baby animals frolicking through the fields and flower buds, bobbing in the gentle breezes, made her smile. It felt like heaven. Willow knew she had always been guided by something powerful and tried to listen closely, but she wanted to learn more. She was sure there was more to her gift if only she could remember. A recurring dream of Pickle, a darling little orange kitty, had always brought her the same message. Trust it. She knew it was significant. Although his words rang loud and clear each time, she could not decipher the depth of its meaning, at least not yet. Willow often recalled Pickle's message. What was he telling her? Chapter 3. The Davik Kingdom. They all sat in the shade of a giant magnolia tree in full bloom, with its large, soft pink flowers. Willow stared at the tree, admiring its beauty. "You are the most beautiful tree I have ever seen," she told the magnolia. "But today," the tree replied, "beauty of the soul." Willow shook her head in amazement. Did she hear correctly? Willow had always known that, in her own way, she could speak with the animals, although she had never thought of a tree that would speak clearly to her. As well as hearing the tree speak, she had also seen a vision of what was said. The words appeared to her in the form of printed words. Willow smiled and giggled with her newfound ability. The tree's words were wise. She moved to sit across from the tree to look at it more fully while thinking of the tree's words, beauty of the soul. Yes, the tree was correct. Soul beauty is truly more valuable than physical beauty. She vowed to remember these words in everything she did from now on. The sun was setting. It was time for Willow to return home. As she stood, a powerful beam of light appeared before her. She shielded her eyes from its brightness while looking closely at what was before her. There were many tiny and dainty beings of light. The little beings resembled the lotus fairies on the moon. These particular fairies were enchanted little nature people, often called divas. One little diva came close to Willow and told her they were the forest's caretakers. The diva explained they knew Willow had a great love for nature, and because of her wish to heal others, the divas had come to help her. So finally, the Davik Kingdom had made themselves known to her. The diva began explaining to Willow that everything that lives in nature, trees, flowers, or rocks, has its own diva, a tiny being of light to look after it. Divas provide protection and nourishment. Then the diva suggested Willow continue her walk home. Once there, she should rest for the night. It would be a special night that would change her life forever. The diva explained that while Willow rested, the Davik Kingdom would perform an ancient ritual for Willow. This ritual would allow her to satisfy her strong desire to help her nature friends and animals. The divas would gift her exceptional healing energies that would become part of her physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual self. This ritual would further open Willow's non-physical energy centers, called chakras. The chakra centers would soon vibrate much faster and at a higher frequency. The colors purple, indigo, pale blue, green, yellow, orange, and red, relating to Willow's 7 main chakra centers, would become vibrant. This opening would allow the universal life force healing energy of love and wisdom to surge through her entire being. With these powerful energies, Willow could offer intense energy healing to others and herself. Chapter 4. A Fairy Tale Horse. Willow accepted the Deva's offer with grace. It was nightfall as she continued crossing the meadow for home. Dragonflies flitted back and forth through the long silver shafts of moonbeams pouring down. She was anxious to get home to receive the Deva's gifts she had been promised. However, first she must stop and admire the silver light in the sky above. Willow felt an even greater bond now with the moon. After arriving home, Willow lay her head on her soft, fluffy pillow. The Devas danced gleefully in a celebration circle in the forest as they prepared their special ritual. Willow felt peaceful as she began to receive the beautiful and powerful energies. The energies flowed from the highest and purest, universal light source. She drifted and floated while experiencing indescribable sensations. Visions of exquisite colors engulfed her, colors she had never seen until now. A rose-colored mist swirled gently and rhythmically in the distance. Through the haze came the sound of lightly jingling bells on a prancing and majestic white horse with long purple satin ribbons flowing from her silvery white mane. Her tail rippled like silk in a soft breeze as she trotted directly to Willow. The horse neighed and whinnied to her as she watched and felt the energy of 1,000 tiny golden stars tumbling down and covering her body. The horse was bringing Willow's attention to this heavenly event. Willow knew the Devas had sent this gorgeous creature to give her what she needed to heal the animals. The feeling was unlike anything she had ever experienced. Willow was blessed with a warm fountain of love and peace. Before this extraordinary animal left, she gave Willow a message of love, healing, and forgiveness for herself and others. Then, Willow realized she was receiving the horse's thoughts and understood the offering she had brought her. Willow knew the golden stars were significant. They were filled with remarkable healing powers. The horse bowed to Willow 3 times, spun around, and with a flick of her tail, she slowly and smoothly cantered away. Willow saw that the horse's hooves had not once touched the ground. Instead, hanging in midair was a golden star in place of each footstep the horse had taken. Willow had received the message, and the horse was gone. Sutta Chapter 5. The Awakening. Willow awoke to chirping birds, greeting her to a new day. The sun was up, and everything appeared unusually bright. She saw a long piece of silky white mane on the floor next to her bed, with a purple satin ribbon attached, complete with a miniature silver bell. The horse had really been there. The Devas had fulfilled their promise. What a wonderful forever keepsake of a special night. Willow knew her experience could never be described in words, so she lay quietly for a while, relaxing and reliving the feeling of the tiny golden stars raining down onto her, the radiant colors she had seen, and the stars left behind in the horse's footsteps. Willow continued to stretch as she opened the shutters of her tiny wooden cottage to allow the early morning breeze to enter. She welcomed the sun's rays that warmed her face. As lovely as it always was, today was lovelier. The soft scent of jasmine drifted past her nostrils and into her room. Jellybee and Turbo were excited to start the day, but Willow had planned to wander through the forest and knew she would be hungry if she did not eat a healthy breakfast of porridge and fruit. She thought of the joy it would bring her nature friends when she told them of her new gift. Secretly, Willow also hoped that she would see the little Deva again. She wanted to thank her and the Devic kingdom for their loving gift. As she readied to go out for the day, she caught a glimpse of herself in the looking-glass. Why did everything, including herself, look so different? She could not get the question out of her mind. Her amber eyes sparkled in the sun. Her skin was aglow. She felt her intuition had increased since receiving last night's gift from the Devas, but she needed time to learn more about it. Healing energies were now running full force through her entire body. She hadn't realized yet that was why she looked and felt so wonderfully different. Although she did not fully understand it, she was happy and excited. Willow began to see how everything Candy Floss had told her was starting to unfold. Today, an exciting new world would be revealed, a day that would not have happened without first experiencing the Diva's gift. Chapter 6. The Feather. As Willow, Jellybee, and Turbo crossed a field overflowing with wildflowers, Hawk swooped in front of them, attempting to get Willow's attention. Again, he tried, but without success. Today, she was too caught up in the magnificence of her surroundings. She walked towards a cherry tree covered with delicate pink blossoms. As she approached the tree, she saw the ground carpeted with pretty pink flower petals. She felt a sense of sadness and loss as she pondered the strewn petals on the ground before her. Suddenly, the tree spoke to her, saying, "It is not always exactly as it looks. Flower petals seemingly scattered on the ground are wishes of love to all who come close." Instead, Willow realized this was a happy occasion and nothing to be sad over. They merrily continued their walk across the field. Then, a drifting feather caught Willow's eye. Jellybee and Turbo saw it too. Willow watched the feather zigzag from one side to the other, through the air until it landed at her feet. Although unaware of it, she was about to learn the significance of feather energy. Willow had always believed that feathers came with their own magical powers. This magic is apparent when one remembers where feathers have come from. Holding her treasure, she studied the feather's appearance. She noted its lovely, soft brown color and paid particular attention to how it glistened in the sunlight. Indeed, it was a wonderful gift. Willow was intrigued. While examining the feather further, she was startled when Hawk landed on the rock beside her. "Well, hello?" Willow said. Hawk projected an image to Willow as he sat listening to her soft voice. He showed her an image of himself flying with a feather falling from his body, floating down to her. Hawk wanted to see if Willow would understand. Willow said, "Oh, are you the one who has gifted me with this lovely feather?" "Thank you." Willow had always believed that the sky was the element of spirit. Possessing a hawk feather meant a close connection between the physical world and spirit. While Willow held the feather between her palms, she felt something familiar. It was that special feeling she had experienced last night while receiving the many magnificent healing gifts given to her by the Devas. What did this mean? And why was Willow feeling it again while holding this feather? She turned and gazed into Hawk's riveting eyes. The wisdom in his eyes could not be mistaken. At this exact moment, Willow knew she would find the answers to her many questions. Hawk presented numerous images showing his feather as another valuable tool to use with her newly enhanced healing gift. He showed Willow how to place the feather on an injured area of an animal or bird. Then, when the feather is twirled around an animal's body an uneven number of times, it helps lift and open the animal's aura. This releases negative energies that may be causing illness or discomfort. It is even more powerful when visualization is used with the intent to cleanse and heal. Willow was filled with excitement. Hawk reminded her of the message the white horse brought last night to visualize many tiny golden stars raining down onto the animal or bird to be healed. Then, he showed her how to complete a healing session. She should smooth the aura with the feather. Willow thanked Hawk for the lesson and tucked the feather into her pocket to avoid losing it. Eventually, she would learn that Hawk was actually the overseer of the realm of the crystal forest. Hawk was not about to fly away before first speaking out loud to her. "Willow, would you like to come with me to an extraordinary place of learning?" he asked. The place Hawk was speaking of was unknown to her. Then, she suddenly realized that he knew her name. "Yes, Willow, I know your name, and I also know you as the magical friend of the forest. You are always welcome here," he said. She was thrilled with the invitation and gladly accepted. She felt safe. Hawk told her to bring her friends and follow him, staying very close. He told her they were going to a safe place and that she would remember everything she saw there. She would use it to help the animal kingdom and all of nature. Willow was excited to go. Chapter 7. The Crystal Forest. Together they crossed an open field to the forest's edge. Willow thought how very different and unrecognizable this area looked. Finally, they entered the shade of a tree-covered canopy. All of nature began to appear unique and in no way similar to anything Willow had ever seen. The further she walked, the more definition she saw. There was no doubt that she had entered a very sacred place. The leaves of the trees had been transformed into the most beautiful green crystals, more brilliant than she had ever seen. Hawk told her they were actually emeralds. Their deep green color was exquisite. She looked around and saw that the cascading yellow flowers of the wisteria tree were yellow topaz gems. The gentle bluebell flowers had turned into glistening sapphires. The tiny drops that appeared as dew forming on the tip of each blade of grass were miniature-sized clear quartz crystals. As Hawk landed on a branch laden with amethyst crystals, he turned to Willow and said, "Willow, Jellybee, and Turbo, welcome to the Crystal Forest." She was amazed that Hawk knew Jellybee and Turbo's names too. Hawk explained that although all forests are magical and mystical, this forest had unique magic. "Willow, the tree you see before you is my dear friend," explained Hawk. He told her to look closely at the tree, saying, "Allow me to introduce you to the tree of love." She saw that the tree was shaped like a larger-than-life heart. Each leaf was heart-shaped too, with brightly glowing green leaves. "Magnificent," said Willow. Hawk continued explaining that the tree of love has many lessons to teach those who take the time to listen. He nodded his head, signaling for her to look to the right. In the distance was a cave, with a faint glimmering light streaming from its entrance. Willow wondered what secrets were behind those walls. She told Hawk she felt blessed to have been allowed to enter the crystal forest. Hawk said, "Because of the love and kindness you have always shown your nature friends, this is our gift to you, dear one." Willow experienced a feeling of deep peace as tears came to her eyes. She had experienced grace. Hawk began, "Dearest Willow, I have been sent to be your guide in the crystal forest. I will remain with you as we enter the sacred cave of wisdom you see in the distance. The sacred cave is a sanctuary and home to many chambers that hold ancient healing secrets. The walls of these healing chambers within the sacred cave teach all those who desire to learn as you do. It is your birthright. During the next 7 days, you will be taught what you have longed to know. You will remember all you have been shown at the end of the 7 days. By the way, Willow, you may call me Hawk." Chapter 8. The Sacred Cave. Hawk motioned for Willow to walk next to him as flickering light from fireflies lit their way, and the crescent moon grew more visible in the magenta sky. Willow's heart beat faster and faster with excitement as they approached the entrance of the sacred cave. She had been waiting for this her entire life. "Hawk, may Jellybee and Turbo come inside too?" "They are my dearest friends," Hawk replied. "Yes, of course they may." Entering the sacred cave, Willow briefly experienced a scent of sweetness in the air. As Hawk pointed out many long, winding pathways, she noticed the case was much larger than it had appeared from the outside. He told Willow each path led deep within the cave to different chambers containing profound knowledge. She and Hawk remained in the large open area just inside the cave. It felt warm and welcoming. The essence she had smelled filled the entire room. It was lovely. As an evenly paced drumbeat in the distance, many soft glowing candles illuminated the inside. It was soothing and rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Willow felt at peace. She wondered if they were the only ones in the cave. Hawk invited her to take a seat. Willow chose to sit on a colorful woven blanket on the soft sand floor and lean back against the cave wall. "I feel wonderful, Hawk." He grinned to himself. Willow rested while Hawk poured her a warm cup of herbal tea. After finishing their tea, he suggested she take a nap. It had been a long day, and only the beginning of what was to come. Hawk began singing, lulling Willow to sleep. Then, finally, she drifted into dreamland, watching the day's events replay in her mind. Willow awoke a short while later feeling very refreshed. Hawk had not left her side. "Are you ready to continue your journey?" he asked. She was. Hawk explained that they would eventually visit each chamber within the cave. Each one had its own story to tell and a lesson to teach. She was ready. Chapter 9. Silver Morn's Miracle. First, they visited the Chamber of Horse Healing. Hawk asked Willow to make herself comfortable, and soon they would begin. While Willow waited, she felt a familiar flow of energy. It was similar to what she had experienced during the ritual performed by the Devas. Her body became very relaxed, and her awareness grew. Then she saw the chamber begin filling with a lovely mist of pastel colors, which seemed to hang in midair. The colors gently swirled. It was mesmerizing. Out of the mist came a lovely white horse. The horse looked very much like the one the Davic kingdom had sent. Was it the same horse that had brought Willow the energies of the golden stars? Hawk told Willow that the horse's name was Silver Morn. Willow replied saying, "Silver Morn, I love her name. She looks so sweet." Hawk agreed that indeed Silver Morn was a sweet girl. Willow asked, "Do you think she would mind if I gave her the nickname Sugar?" Hawk told Willow that he was sure the horse would be pleased. Although she could almost touch Sugar, Willow felt like she was watching her through a window. It was clear that Sugar did not feel well. Her eyes were dull, and her body listless. Then Willow saw 3 large lumps about the size of a human's fist under Sugar's belly. "Oh dear," gasped Willow. Into the vision walked a woman who appeared to know Sugar. The woman quietly and gently placed the palms of both hands directly onto the lumps on Sugar's belly. Willow watched intently. What would happen? After a short while, the woman moved both hands onto Sugar's side. The woman began to speak words that asked for healing for her. She asked that all things negative, not serving the highest good for Sugar, be released, and only positive things from the purest light source be given to Sugar. The woman repeated the words over and over. It sounded like a chanted prayer. Suddenly, 5 long, thin beams of light that looked like spikes appeared where the woman's hands were lying. The spikes protruded outwards from the horse's side. Willow's eyes grew with amazement. The spikes of light were soft, pale green. The chanting as the woman grew increasingly emotional with every word. The spikes of light changed from pale green to a subtle shade of lilac. The woman continued her chanting prayer. The spikes of light finally changed from lilac to the purest and brightest sparkling white Willow had ever seen. The light was blinding. In awe, Willow fell back in her seat at what she had just witnessed. The woman stopped her chant and walked away. Sugar faded into the mist. Willow looked at Hawk for an explanation, but instead, Hawk motioned for her to continue watching. The horse reappeared from the mist. The large lumps on Sugar's belly were gone. The horse was healed. What did the colors of the spikes of light mean? How did the woman do this with her hands? It was like magic. Hawk explained that she had witnessed a miracle. He explained that green represents healing, lilac represents a connection with spirit, the source of healing, and bright white light indicates healing is complete. The woman had accessed these exceptional healing energies through her hands. She placed them into Sugar's body to give her what she needed to recover. Hawk clarified to Willow that it was vital for her to understand that the woman did not heal Sugar alone. Working with the woman had been magical energies from spirit. They guided her. Together, they were a team. Willow was beside herself with excitement. Hawk told her they would go to the Chamber of Cat Healing next. However, the next chamber would have to wait until tomorrow because she was tired from the long day. Willow agreed that all the excitement had exhausted her, but she could not wait for tomorrow. Chapter 10. Mona's Special Thank You. The next day, Willow was refreshed and eager. She and Hawk followed a pathway leading deeper into the cave as they made their way to the Chamber of Cat Healing. Jellybee and Turbo followed closely. Inside the chamber, the familiar energy surrounded her again. The colored mist spun and opened up to a vision of a busy marketplace where they saw a dainty little tabby cat sitting. The same woman who had been with Sugar in the horse healing chamber entered the market. She approached the cat, calling her by the name Mona. She saw that Mona's left eye was watering excessively and almost closed. Mona had an eye infection. The woman stroked her soft coat as she stretched out on a table. She cupped her tiny face, ensuring one hand always covered her sore eye. Willow saw a soft white light flow directly into Mona's sore eye from the woman's hand. Mona purred happily and licked the woman's hands, expressing her thanks. Then, a worker at the market appeared in the vision. Willow heard the healer woman tell the worker that Mona had an eye infection. The worker replied, "Oh no, it's just watering." Then, with her sleeve, the worker attempted to roughly rub the water away from poor little Mona's eye. Mona cried as it was painful. The woman healer was upset. As the healer woman stood on the other side of the market, Willow heard her speaking to someone, although no one was visible. She was asking for energies to heal Mona's eye. Before the woman left, she looked back in Mona's direction, and it was then that Willow saw an intense white light surrounding Mona. What was the bright white light Willow saw surrounding Mona? Could others see it flowing into her eye? Willow was witnessing distant healing from spirit. The healer and Mona both vanished into the mist. Willow looked at Hawk. He nodded for her to wait silently. She appeared again and was now in a different area of the market. Willow could see the healer's thoughts. She was thinking deeply about Mona. Was Mona all right? As the woman rounded the corner, there was Mona in the doorway. Mona had received the woman's thoughts and waited for her. The woman healer immediately saw Mona's eyes were both wide open and looking at her. The sore eye was healed, and now Mona was smiling at her with gratitude. The woman picked up Mona, placed her on her lap, and stroked her. They cuddled and chatted with each other for a few moments. Mona licked the woman's hands, looked into her eyes, and softly meowed. She was saying, "Thank you." The woman softly kissed Mona on the forehead, and the vision faded. Again, Willow was utterly amazed at what she had seen. Even Jellybee and Turbo looked astonished. After experiencing Mona's healing, Willow was keen to see what awaited her next, in the Chamber of Bird Healing. As usual, it would not be until tomorrow. Those were Hawk's instructions. He was her guide and knew what was best for her. Hawk lit a few more candles and prepared lovely beds for Willow and her two friends, bringing them warm herbal drinks and snacks before they settled in for the night. Hawk told Willow she needed time to process everything she had seen. As always, he would stay by her side while she rested. The day's events played repeatedly in her head as she slept. It was fantastic to have a second chance to view it all again. When she awoke, she realized more details had been shown to her during sleep than she had seen while awake. She was unaware that, telepathically, Hawk was continuing to teach her while she slept. Chapter 11. A Bird's Eye View. Willow was excited about Day 3. Today, they were visiting the Chamber of Bird Healing. This chamber would be different from what she had seen so far. As the mist cleared, the familiar woman from the previous chambers appeared. She sat high on a hillside that overlooked a lush green valley. You might say she had a bird's-eye view of the entire area. She watched very intently as several seagulls circled something in the meadow below. Willow looked closer and saw a nesting pair of Canada geese. The gulls circled closer and closer. The male goose tried to protect his family by squawking loudly and flapping his wings at the gulls threatening his family. He was very concerned for their safety. Willow saw that the woman was feeling uneasy at what she was witnessing and was anxious over the well-being of the baby geese and their mother. Willow watched closely as the woman's posture slightly changed. Her back straightened, and her face looked up to the sky. Willow saw the woman's thoughts focus on the family of geese. Through visualization, the woman invited a ring of white light to surround the meadow. When complete, Willow heard her ask for the geese's protection from the diving gulls. Willow had learned that the woman was speaking to spirit. A couple of short minutes had passed when the gulls turned and flew away, leaving the geese alone. The ring of white light had put up a barrier of energy that signaled the gulls to move on and, in turn, gave needed protection to the geese. The geese were safe, comfortable, and no longer in danger. Willow was amazed at the power of thought and visualization's vital role. It was clear how it would be essential in her daily life. This chamber taught Willow there are many forms of healing, and one is protection. Willow wondered who the woman was that she continued to see in each chamber. How had this woman attained this wisdom? For now, Willow thought she would lovingly refer to her as the animal healer. Without a doubt, Willow knew that the animal healer was the person she wanted to be like when helping animals. Hawk motioned that it was time for them to leave the chamber. Willow wondered if they would visit a second chamber today, but Hawk had other plans. He could not express the importance of thoughts and how they affect us and those around us. This was a lesson that much of humanity needed to learn. He suggested Willow take extra time to contemplate this and hoped she would teach it to others in the coming years. Willow understood, and she was grateful. Chapter 12. Sheena's Devotion. A new day was dawning as Willow and Hawk approached the Chamber of Animal Communication. As the mist cleared, the animal healer whom Willow had come to admire appeared. This time she looked very serene as she lit a white candle and then sat on a patch of soft green grass, cross-legged and with her eyes closed. Her arms were moving like she was performing a ritual dance. The movements continued for some time. The healer verbalized something Willow could not quite understand. It was similar to the chant-like prayer she had performed with Sugar. However, this time, she spoke to a dog, a beautiful husky named Sheena, who was not physically present. Instead, Sheena's picture sat in front of her. Hawk told Willow that Sheena had not eaten for a few days. Her human companions were very concerned, although a thorough medical examination showed that Sheena was not sick. As the animal healer's movements and chanting continued, Willow saw her arms move like birds' wings soaring gracefully. She began to see clear images from the animal healer's thoughts as she transformed into a bird and flew to Sheena. The animal healer was listening closely. She had asked Sheena why she was not eating. Sheena told the healer that she felt great sadness, but the sadness was not rightfully her own. Sheena asked the animal healer to give her human companions, a husband and wife, a message to love and respect themselves. She wanted them to look after their health. Sheena communicated that one of them was feeling something deep in the pit of their stomach and down into the intestinal area. Sheena wanted them to know that she loved them both very much and knew they loved her too. But one of them needed urgent medical care. Sheena insisted that they would know what she was talking about. The woman wrote down everything she had received from Sheena to give to her human family. She wanted to make sure to catch every word. The mist covered the scene briefly and then broke to show a new vision. The animal healer had communicated Sheena's message to her human companions. Later, the animal healer discovered that the husband had been forced by pain to go to the hospital emergency before receiving this information. He spent several hours receiving treatment for intestinal inflammation that required medication and a few weeks in the hospital. He had kept the pain hidden, but Sheena knew. Due to Sheena's devotion, she attempted to take his illness from him by appearing sick herself. Willow thought it was remarkable that animals would suffer so much to help heal their humans, but something else came to her that she had almost forgotten. The animal healer had communicated with Sheena in a far-off land across the Atlantic Ocean. This was telepathic communication at its best. Willow knew animal communication was essential and wanted to learn it, hopefully sooner than later. She longed to try it herself, but that would have to wait another day. Day 5 was quickly approaching, and Willow looked forward to what was next. Chapter 13. Do you miss him? Jellybee held his breath and asked, Willow, do you miss your dad? Turbo quickly looked at Willow to see her reaction to the question. It was a sensitive issue. Hawk's ears perked up too. They all listened and watched closely to see how she would respond. Oh, Jellybee, I miss my dad so much. I think of him every day, said Willow. Jellybee saw Willow's eyes fill with tears. Had he upset her? Jellybee began apologizing, but quickly Willow thanked him for thinking of her. She was grateful that he had asked the question. They were all relieved. Willow began sharing her most recent lifelike dream with her friends. Then, excitedly, she said, Turbo, once again, you were our hero in my dream. You flew all of us, including my dad, to the North Pole. It was an incredible adventure, Jellybee commented. I remember seeing the northern lights on the way to the Milky Way and how captivated you were by them. You said one day you would love to visit the land of ice and snow, the home of the northern lights. And you have. Willow smiled. I did, Jellybee, but it was only a dream. While flying above the North Pole, we saw enormous amounts of soft snow, sparkling blue water, and jagged icebergs. A majestic reindeer named Rocket awaited our arrival. He took us to the Christmas workshop, where we helped the elves make toys for the world's children on Christmas Eve. It brought us so much joy thinking of the smiles it would bring around the globe. Jelly bee, we saw polar bears too. When our task was complete, a jolly snowman returned us to Rocket, who then escorted us to the peak of the highest iceberg in the middle of the Arctic Ocean for takeoff. But first, they gave us yummy treats, warm drinks, and cozy blankets to keep warm on our journey home. Then, Turbo soared higher and higher into the sky, while we waved goodbye to our new friends below. All Jellybee could say was, "Wow." Turbo was initially lost for words, although he eventually commented that he would be very proud to fly his friends to the North Pole, especially to have Willow's father with them. Willow was confused at how lifelike the dream had been. She asked, "Do you think it could have been real? Do any of you remember this adventure?" They all shook their head no and looked at each other with amazement. Finally, they agreed that maybe one day they really could go. Hawk spoke up. "All of you should rest." But the excitement made it too difficult to sleep. Chapter 14. Sammy's Love. Hawk announced they would spend Day 5 in the Chamber of Clearings by Spirit. The colored mist was lifting again when a little tortoiseshell cat named Sammy appeared. Hawk told Willow that Sammy's stomach was bloated, and almost overnight, she had become too thin from not eating. Willow noted that the animal healer was present once again. Hawk told Willow that, similar to Sheena, Sammy lived far away from the animal healer. He explained that the animal healer would send Sammy energies for deep healing. It was something she called a clearing by spirit. Hawk told her that clearings and animal communication are often used together and suggested that she watch closely. The woman began the ritual with her usual chanting and the lighting of a white candle. She placed a photo of Sammy in front of her. Willow heard the animal healer ask for positive and sacred energies to assist with the healing of little Sammy, the cat. The healer called for healing to occur, and again she moved her arms like the wings of a bird. She was becoming a bird. This time, Willow saw clearly that the animal healer had transformed herself into a beautiful white dove, and its essence was soaring a long distance to Sammy. Having reached Sammy, the dove soared counterclockwise around Sammy's shoulder and neck 3 times. Then, the dove flew to the crown area at the top of Sammy's head, hovered briefly, and then flew down the entire front of Sammy's body. Finally, the dove circled Sammy's body clockwise 3 times at approximately hip level. Hawk asked if Willow had noticed the details of what the dove had done. She said it reminded her of a choreographed dance and was a beautiful sight. During the clearing, Sammy showed the animal healer her sadness and why she was upset. The animal healer explained to Sammy the son in the family loved her as much as he did before. Nothing had changed. But Sammy did not feel that way. The animal healer asked if Sammy would reconsider her feelings. Sammy said she would try. Willow wondered what it all meant. Although the clearing was complete, the story continued to unravel. Soon, Willow's question would be answered. Willow saw that Sammy's human's eldest son had moved back into the family home, bringing a cat named Lil Bit. Sammy had always been enamored with the son and still was. He was Sammy's love. Willow noted that the son's new cat, Lil Bit, looked like Sammy. When Lil Bit entered a room, Sammy growled and hissed, then ran to her human's bedroom and hid under the bed. Hawk explained to Willow that Sammy was upset that the son had brought Lil Bit home. Sammy no longer allowed the son to pet or hold her. She would not eat and had become ill. Both Sammy and her human were miserable. The mist covered the images briefly and then parted to expose a new vision. Watching the vision unfold, Willow saw it was the next day. Something had changed. Sammy had come out of hiding for treats and had eaten her breakfast. When the family returned home from work that night, Sammy and Lil Bit sat together at the door, waiting to greet them. Finally, Sammy had come to terms with the situation and Lil Bit. Willow was intrigued by how Sammy seemed to mellow whenever her human showed a picture of the animal healer who had sent the clearing. Sammy recognized the essence of the animal healer who had communicated with her, even though the healing had taken place far away. Willow marveled. Her head spun with knowledge while being overcome with emotion. This is what she had wished to learn all of her life. Weeping, she wondered how she could ever thank Hawk enough and all those involved with gifting her these precious teachings. Chapter 15. Star's Journey Home. Willow and Hawk were going to the chamber of the Rainbow Bridge. Willow took a seat as she awaited her next lesson. This one would be very emotional and perhaps one of the most important to learn. In the mist, she saw an image of the animal healer walking through her favorite park in the rain. She looked sad. Hawk told Willow that the animal healer would be with her sick little dog friend Star, who would be crossing the Rainbow Bridge to Spirit. The thought weighed heavy on her heart. She would miss Star. As the healer contemplated the day ahead, she heard, "A new life awaits," and knew this would be true for her furry friend. The rain turned into late afternoon sunny skies. Star sat very still on the animal doctor's examination table. Her leg was shaved in preparation for the final step. The animal healer kissed Star's wet nose and quietly began to cry. She looked into Star's eyes and saw she was confident, letting the healer know it was okay. Star's human companion held her lovingly as the animal doctor proceeded. Standing before Star, the animal healer looked deeply into her eyes. Star did not take her gaze away. Their eyes were locked. The animal healer remembered that Star's human told her to be brave and ensure the last thing Star sees is her smiling. Crossing the Rainbow Bridge is often the only form of healing possible, and in this case, it was so. The tears streamed down the animal healer's cheeks. Then, whispering to Star, and with the biggest smile possible, she said, "We all love you, sweetie, and we thank you for everything you have taught us." Star stared into the animal healer's eyes until the little dog's body slowly slumped onto the table. Star was gone. Willow had seen strength, peace, and contentment in the depths of Star's beautiful chocolate-brown eyes. There was no doubt little Star had been ready to continue her journey. Star's human and the animal healer stroked Star's soft coat. They encouraged Star's dog companion Bullet to sniff Star to confirm her transition. It would help with Bullet's emotional healing. Willow saw they were beginning to arrange various items on the table beside Star's body, although she could not identify what they were. The mist rolled in to cover the scene. Willow desperately wanted to know what they were about to do. There was a pause before the scene came clearly back into view. The animal healer softly petted Star on the top of her head and whispered, "With God's speed, little one," before leaving the room. Then, walking to the door and taking one last look over her shoulder, the healer saw a tear running down the animal doctor's face as she wrapped Star in the appropriately rainbow-colored blanket she had been sitting on before, lovingly picking her up in her arms. Willow would never forget what she saw in Star's eyes that day. It was something she had never experienced, and now it was apparent why the animal healer had been invited to participate in Star's crossing. Willow thought about how she had learned a valuable lesson from Star. That night, Willow watched the animal healer lie in bed thinking of her little dog friend. Finally, the woman went to the window, peeked through it, and looked up into the sky. There, straight ahead of her, appeared a lone, radiant, twinkling star. Tonight, that star was the most significant in the night sky. It was a sign. The healer knew Star had crossed the Rainbow Bridge and arrived home safely. Willow's heart had been touched once more as tears streamed down her cheeks as the story seemed to end, but soon the mist cleared to reveal more. The animal healer reappeared. Willow immediately recognized that she was communicating telepathically with Star. She listened and watched as she was shown what had happened a few days before Star's passing. Chapter 16. The Ritual. The animal healer reappeared. Willow immediately recognized that she was communicating telepathically with Star. She listened and watched as she was shown what had happened a few days before Star's passing. The animal healer had connected telepathically with Star to find the correct day for Star to transition. Star told her it would be Tuesday, which it had been. At that time, she asked Star if she would like a ritual performed honoring her transition. Star showed her many images and asked for the rituals to begin at dinner, the evening before the day she would pass. Listening to and honoring all animals at this stage of their lives and witnessing their strength and knowingness is absolutely necessary. And, above all, to feel their absolute connection with the divine. Star's human had carried out her wish the night before her passing. Star ate her favorite meal of baked pork chops while sitting at the dining room table with candlelight and a dozen red roses next to her. Star's second request was a special ritual at the animal doctor's office. She requested a white candle, a single red rose, and feathers placed nearby. Star had asked that her companion's friend, the animal healer, be present to perform the ritual. But there was more. The animal healer had 3 companion animals that lived with her. They each told her something of theirs needed to be present during Star's transition. The animal healer's horse, Sugar, whom Willow knew from the horse healing chamber, had sent a lock of her long, white, flowing tail. But then Willow was confused and surprised when she saw her 2 kitty friends, Jazz and Tango, from Snowflake Crossing, who appeared as the animal healer's exceptional, energy-aware cats. They had sent one of their favorite toys. Star's human companion was asked to read a special prayer during the transition. Star's dog friend and housemate Bullet needed to stay close, which he had. Finally, Star asked the animal healer to use a hawk feather to assist with the rising of her spirit from her physical body. And so it was. As Star's body began to slump to the table, the animal healer whisked the feather around Star's body several times in a spiral motion. Higher and higher went the spiral until she had been released. Willow thought it was fascinating that of all the many types of bird feathers, the animal healer used a hawk feather. Star requested that a poem be read. Afterwards, the animal healer would chime her Tibetan tingshas, sacred brass chimes, 3 times to bless her transition to spirit. Willow suddenly realized what the animal healer and Star's human had been arranging before the mist rolled in. They were preparing to perform the rituals Star had requested. Star had asked that one more thing be done once her remains were returned to her human. She asked that they be placed on a bed of scattered red rose petals under her favorite tree in the backyard, and then for her human to sing her the song, "When You Wish Upon a Star." Willow now understood the entire process. She had been watching all of Star's requests being carried out. It was indeed a sight of beauty. Because of the rituals, she believed intense healing would occur for Star's human and her companion, Bullet. Willow learned that when given the opportunity, animals will tell you what ritual they would like. She could see now the importance of fulfilling their requests. Hawk explained that the rituals are used to honor transitioning animals. They are also used to heal the animal's human and animal companions left behind. Willow knew that animals are some of our greatest healers. Hawk told Willow that when animals are born, they intuitively know why they are here. But humans must learn this. Willow told Hawk that people are lucky to have animals to guide and care for them. She was reminded of the tiny golden stars with extraordinary healing powers the magical white horse brought to her. She was sure that it was not by chance that it was a dog named Star she had learned so much from. She wept deeply from the love and beauty she felt in her heart. Chapter 17. Honoring the Seasons. Day 7. Willow wondered what her last day would bring. Hawk announced it was time to visit the Chamber of the Seasons. Willow was thrilled. Like the other chambers, she knew it would be an exceptional experience. Hawk told her she was about to experience the feel and smell of each season, and in so doing, she would be forever uniquely connected to them. The seasons had always been magical for Willow. Shortly after entering the chamber, Hawk blew out the candles. It was completely dark. Behind her, she sensed a dim light growing brighter and brighter. As instructed by Hawk, she sat quietly and did not turn to look. The bright light reminded her of a sunrise, yet it was different. Hawk told her it was a backdrop for the images she was about to see. Then winter's soft, fluffy white snow gently fell before her. Snowflakes looked like they were falling directly from the stars and slid effortlessly down shafts of moonbeams to her feet. She felt relaxed while she watched the white flakes cascade downwards. What did she see in the distance under an overhang of thick white snow? It was a furry brown bear curled up into a ball. He looked adorable and cuddly as he lay sleeping soundly. Willow knew it was his home during the cold winter months. As the snow stopped falling, the night sky became brighter and brighter. Willow admired the colorful, soft streaks of green, pink, and yellow swirling across the sky and recognized them as the Northern Lights. They gave her beautiful memories of flying to the Milky Way with Turbo and Jellybee. As Willow watched, the colorful night sky became warmer-looking topaz blue. Vivid colors of newly sprouting flowers and vines were beginning to appear. Flower buds opened widely right in front of her eyes. It was spring. She watched the world turn into a sea of color: yellow, red, orange, and violet. Golden honeybees darted from one flower to the next, while tiny orange butterflies flitted past. Next came warm spring rains. Willow felt a light spray from the rain shower that soaked and quenched each plant's thirst. Then summer arrived. The sun shone brightly overhead with its blinding rays. She felt the lazy summer days and enjoyed colorful flowers. Their perfume floated to her on the wings of a warm breeze. To one side, she saw cats lounging in the hot sun, eventually moving to the shade to cool themselves. As the sun dimmed, she saw trees of red and gold. The colors of autumn had arrived with ripe orange pumpkins in a field. Squirrels scurried, burying nuts in the ground for their winter food supply. Willow watched the Canada geese flying overhead in a familiar V-shaped formation. They were headed south to warmer temperatures during the winter months. Spectacular, thought Willow, and this happens like clockwork every year. She had not seen the seasons in such great detail until now. As Willow watched, she was reminded of the four elements: wind, water, earth, and fire. The effects of wind on the water created pounding surf against large, rugged rocks on a deserted beach. Imagining herself standing next to the water's edge, Willow could feel the soft sand under her feet and the wind in her hair as a crackling bonfire on the beach, blazing with extreme heat, raged close by, giving a colorful glow. That night, Willow chose to honor nature and slept outdoors under the stars, accompanied by Hawk and her friends. Chapter 18. Pickle Returns. Willow was learning more than she could ever have imagined, but if the truth were to be known, she was a little frightened that she would not remember it all. It was a tremendous responsibility, yet it was her wish, her life's dream, and why Willow was here. She must remember. Willow focused on all the different ways she would use the things she had been taught while gently drifting into dreamland. Finally asleep, Pickle, the little orange cat who had been a frequent visitor to Willow, returned. Pickle had come to reinforce Willow's belief in herself and her experiences in the sacred cave. Although sleeping soundly, Willow instantly felt her connection with Pickle as he guided her to perform distant healing and animal communication along with him. Pickle had her place her consciousness inside his little body and give him healing energy. Then, to her amazement, Willow saw through Pickle's eyes. Momentarily, she felt like a cat. She was Pickle, and it was powerful. Willow asked Pickle two important questions. First, was there something he wanted to tell her? And second, was there something he wanted to teach her? His answer appeared in her mind's eye in the oversized printed words, "Trust it." Willow began to wake. Opening her eyes, she realized she had understood Pickle's message. Willow strongly desired to heal her animal friends, but she doubted herself. Her experiences in the sacred cave and Pickle's message changed her belief. After all, Pickle confirmed it. This was the first time she truly realized the gift of healing as her birthright. She was ready. Willow thought about how she had traveled to the Milky Way with Jellybee and Turbo, the Divas' intense energy ritual, and how she met her devoted guide, Hawk. It had been a fantastic journey and one she would never forget. Willow realized her deep feelings for nature to be why she had been given these gifts. Willow vowed to leave her doubts behind. She knew she could help her animal friends and teach others too. What an exciting thought! It was yet to be revealed that she would become a significant part of many healing miracles in the future. Her journey had just begun. Chapter 19. Fly with Me. Hawk told Willow they would go to another special place the following day. He explained that Willow would receive powerful healing while there. Finally, Hawk turned to Willow and said, "Will you fly with me?" "Fly with you, Hawk?" Willow asked excitedly. Chapter 20. Soaring with Hawk. Willow could barely utter the word yes. Hawk told Willow they would be gone only briefly and suggested that Jellybee and Turbo wait for them. The two were happy to amuse themselves while she was off flying with Hawk, but before they left, Hawk surprised them with a plate full of freshly baked chocolate cookies to enjoy. More importantly, they were very excited to hear about her adventure. Hawk told Willow to close her eyes and they would leave soon. With eyes tightly closed, she felt herself being lifted high atop something soft, warm, and sleek. A gentle breeze tossed her hair about. "All right," said Hawk. "You may open your eyes." Willow was breathless to find she was sitting on Hawk's powerful, feathered shoulders, flying gently upwards and higher into the sunny skies. Hawk flapped his mighty wings, making an unforgettable swooshing sound. Willow thought it must be a dream. How could she be flying with Hawk? But she was. After all, everything about Hawk was magical. With great interest, Willow looked at the ground below. What a unique and rare vantage point. Although Willow wished it could last forever, she felt Hawk begin to descend. As he flew lower, Willow heard sweet-sounding melodies. The wind continued blowing across her face. She closed her eyes and enjoyed the music. Soaring with Hawk had lulled her into a place of peace and comfort. Now, flying closer to the ground, Willow saw colored bubbles rising from each musical note she heard. They had arrived. Landing high on a mountaintop, the fields below were ablaze with an abundance of brilliant ruby-red flowers. "Welcome to Fire Mountain," announced Hawk. Chapter 21. Healing Waters. Although having just arrived, Willow knew she loved everything about Fire Mountain. Hawk suggested she might enjoy inhaling the essence of the colors and absorb the feelings of peace and gratitude the mountain offered. In the distance, Willow saw a clear pool of sparkling sky-blue water. It looked so inviting. Hawk saw Willow's interest in it and suggested she might like to look closer. On the bank of the pool lay a blanket of ivory-white lilies. Willow turned to Hawk with a puzzled look. "The blanket is for you," he said. She happily draped herself with the blanket of flowers and asked Hawk if she may step into the pool. She gently lowered herself into its warm, bubbling water, leaned back, and relaxed. It felt wonderfully therapeutic. Hawk explained, "These healing waters will cleanse you of all energies that do not serve your highest purpose. It will prepare you for your return home and allow you to move further along your pathway as a nature healer." Hawk suggested she look ahead to the horizon, where a beautiful spinning diamond-shaped prism was suspended in midair. Its rainbow colors that extended outwards were mesmerizing. Hawk asked Willow to clear her mind and focus on the prism. The rest would happen as it should. Looking deeply at the colorful prism without blinking, she entered a trance-like state. She began experiencing overwhelming tranquility and love. She felt incredibly mellow and realized she could no longer feel her body. However, she was conscious and aware of her surroundings. Willow wanted to stay here forever. Then, coming out of her trance, her attention moved to an enormous, shimmering gold star directly above her head. It made her smile. The glistening rays of the star protruded much further than she could see, while thousands of tiny stars poured over her with golden light. Chapter 22. Ice Palace of Light. Extremely long crystal points jutted from the pool's depth, reaching upwards to kiss the sky. They were massive, the most giant crystals Willow had ever seen. Purple amethyst, rose quartz, luminous white moonstone with its rainbow colors, and golden citrine, to name a few. Willow knew each crystal had exceptional qualities and uses. However, she was still learning about crystal energy for healing. Hawk saw Willow's wandering thoughts and, telepathically, sent her the information she was searching for, showing her that crystals, like feathers, can be used in a healing session. Amethyst is known as the stone of peace, strength, and protection. Willow was also shown that rose quartz is the love stone. It adds love, positive energy, compassion, and forgiveness to all it touches. He went on to show there that moonstone is the stone of purity with its many reflective rainbow colors. Citrine is the stone for wishing and enhances the body's healing energy. Coming out of her meditative state, Willow saw that the suspended prism had transformed into a sparkling, majestic, clear quartz crystal palace that sat at the far edge of the pool. It looked like ice. Hawk told her she was looking at the ice palace of light. Magnificent, sparkling healing energies radiated through the ice, reflecting the colors of a sun-filled prism. She could feel its warmth radiating. Spectacular! But how could ice be warm? Hawk reminded her that things are only sometimes as they appear or as one thinks they should be. The warmth of the ice palace was an example and an essential lesson for her. Hawk told Willow that the palace represented the purest love for all living things with which we share our planet. The ice palace continued projecting its healing energies onto her through the many crystals she saw hanging on nearby trees. She was reminded of the crystal forest. Many animals and birds had gathered around the pool. Hawk told her they had come to greet and thank her for her life's purpose of helping nature. Birds adorned her head with a wreath of soft purple lilacs and shimmering amethyst crystals, gifting her with energies from the animal kingdom, while the soothing sound of the snowy white owl and the sweet songs of the nightingale could be heard. A raven, shiny, sleek, and as black as night, sat on the highest tip of a garnet crystal. Chipmunks and squirrels ran up and down trees, chattering excitedly. A peaceful white swan floated towards her. Finally, coyotes sat high on a ledge, their noses pointing up into the air, howling in celebration. It was the most beautiful choir Willow had ever heard. To Willow's surprise, she saw the devas had returned. She watched as the lovely little light beings danced across floating lily pads. Although mostly invisible to Willow, Hawk told her they had been at her side the entire time she was inside the sacred cave. "Follow me, dearest Willow," whispered Hawk. Chapter 23. Fortune favored the brave. Hawk told Willow they needed to do one more thing before leaving Fire Mountain as he escorted her inside the ice palace. The pure and magical colors that shone as they entered the Great Hall were blinding. Once again, Willow felt the familiar, powerful, warm energies flowing, and she felt blessed. The walls of the Great Hall glistened. It was exquisite. Hawk pointed to a large mosaic on the floor in the center of the hall. The circle had many inlaid colorful crystals, similar to those Willow had seen in the pool and the crystal forest. Soft white feathers from the swan she had met in the pool had been carefully positioned on the mosaic, especially for her. Hawk asked Willow to look closely at the beauty before her. He explained that the mosaic circle represents god-goddess energies for balance, refracting and reflecting all light, bringing universal wisdom and protection. He continued by saying a circle symbolizes wholeness, the unending life force and the unity of all creation. It is the beginning and the end of all things, creating harmony and balance. Willow was honored. She thanked Hawk for sharing his wisdom. As always, he told her it was their pleasure to assist and asked her to sit amidst the lovely swan feathers while he lit the nearby white candles. Still wrapped in the blanket of white lilies and wearing her wreath of flowers and crystals on her head, Willow did as Hawk requested. An intense warmth came from all directions of the palace, the walls, the floor, and the ceiling. Willow felt the warm and loving energy of the Ice Palace. Receiving this vast amount of love was an incredible privilege. Willow's numerous nature friends had entered the Ice Palace. Together with Hawk, they gathered around her as he presented her with a gift, the Sword of Destiny, on which was written, "Fortune favored the brave." Brave she was. This keepsake pendant would help her healing journey, which they knew would be challenging and extremely rewarding for many. The pendant would also be a remembrance of her new friends and everything she had learned. It would give her strength in the days ahead. Gently holding the pendant in her hands, she tried to find the words to describe the beautiful energy she felt it emitting, but there were none. The powerful pentacle symbol, the 5-pointed upright star, sat on a circular purple background at the top of the sword, crisscrossed in copper. Willow was no stranger to the pentacle. She knew it had long been misunderstood by many, but it was an ancient symbol representing earth, water, air, fire, and spirit. Because of the pendant's strong connection with nature, she vowed to wear it around her neck forever. Chapter 24. Homeward Bound. Although she felt sad leaving her new friends on Fire Mountain, she was excited to return to Jellybee and Turbo, who patiently awaited. Now that her lessons were complete, she would soon leave her dear friend Hawk. She could not express how much she would miss him. After giving each of her Fire Mountain friends a heartfelt hug, Willow bid them farewell. Hawk motioned for Willow to hop onto his shoulders, and they would be on their way. As they traveled homeward, memories of the days spent with Hawk repeatedly played in Willow's mind like a movie. It had been a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It was far too soon when Willow felt Hawk preparing to land. Sadness grew in her heart. She had learned so much over the days with Hawk as her guide. She loved him dearly. After they landed, Willow was slow to slide off Hawk's shoulders and finally onto the ground. Before doing so, she put her arms around his neck and hugged him tightly, never wanting to let go. A tear rolled down Willow's cheek. Reluctantly, she forced herself to slide off his back. Hawk felt sad too. He told her he would always be nearby, returning soon to help with her work. With tears in her eyes, Willow stood looking up at Hawk. He wrapped his lovely, soft, warm wings around her petite body in a friendly hug and held her tightly before leaving. Jellybee and Turbo were running excitedly to greet Willow. They wanted to hear about everything she had seen. As Hawk was about to fly up high into the sky, he called out to Willow, saying she could contact him telepathically whenever she wished. He would always be there for her. "Hawk!" cried Willow as he circled one last time before soaring into the bright sunlight. He turned to look at Willow as she shouted, "Hawk! Who was the woman-animal healer in the sacred cave?" Hawk's eyes sparkled as he flashed a big smile and replied, "My dear, for now it is unimportant. Let's call her the Mystery Woman." Chapter 25. Life was perfect. Willow was overflowing with invaluable knowledge from her time in the sacred cave of wisdom. Now she was more eager than ever to continue her life's journey, but knew she must rest first. She snuggled between Jellybee and Turbo, who were already sleeping soundly. As usual, Jellybee was snoring sweetly. Willow loved that about him. Drifting and drifting more, Willow quickly fell into a long, solid sleep. Finally, beginning to wake, she saw Jellybee, Turbo, and Hawk staring at her. She squealed, "Hawk, is that really you? You are back." After adjusting her eyes, she gave a big stretch and asked, "How long have I been sleeping?" Hawk replied, "You slept for as long as you needed to. I hope you feel refreshed." Willow smiled and acknowledged that she did. She thought about how happy she was living in the crystal forest with her friends. Life was perfect. Chapter 26. Candy Floss Visits. Suddenly, something felt different. What was wrong? Willow asked Hawk, "Do you know if my dad is okay? I see an image of him and I feel a deep sadness. Something is terribly wrong, Hawk. What can we do?" Hawk tried to console Willow as her worry grew. Finally, he told her that he would look after everything and that it was okay for her to relax. But she was too worried. She heard someone call her name. Behind her stood her dear friend Candy Floss. Willow rushed to hug her tightly. Candy Floss said, "Hawk has told me how much you miss your father, Willow." She assured her she would soon bring him to visit her in the Crystal Forest. They would be together again. Willow beamed as Candy Floss told her she would see her dad soon. It had been far too long since she and her dad had been together. "I can't wait. When will he arrive, Candy Floss?" asked Willow. "It will be in the blink of an eye," promised Candy Floss. "Watch!" Now, outside with Candy Floss, Hawk remained close to Willow, Jellyby, and Turbo. They all watched as Candy Floss performed her magic. Then, with great power, she opened up her arms widely. In an instant, unending miles of fluffy pink candy floss flowed into the starry night sky, traveling light years throughout the galaxy to planet Earth. It extended farther than anyone could see. "What is happening?" asked Willow. "Your dad is waiting," said Candy Floss. "He knows what to do." Willow looked puzzled. Jellyby and Turbo looked puzzled too. Suddenly, Willow realized she could connect telepathically with Candy Floss, and a vision appeared. She clearly saw that Candy Floss, too, was speaking telepathically, but with Willow's father. She was giving him instructions on what he needed to do. Finally, the soft, cuddly Floss reached her father. It gently wrapped his entire body, keeping him safe and warm. Candy Floss instructed him to close his eyes and take one deep breath. He did, and like magic, he appeared instantly before Willow. They stood together on the Star of Miracles. Willow, Jellyby, and Turbo blinked in disbelief, but it was true. Hawk was not surprised. He was more than aware of the Milky Way's magic. Chapter 27. He's here! Willow hugged her father so tightly that she wound herself up in the candy floss with him. They both laughed. Then Willow hesitated and backed up. She needed to know why she still felt confused. More than anything, she felt unsettled. Hawk told Willow, "Enjoy your time with your dear father." "Willow, dear, I have really missed you," said Willow's father. Then, excitedly, he said, "Look who I brought with me. They have missed you too." All she could see were eyes peeking through the fluffy mounds of candy floss, but she quickly recognized them. It was her friends, Jazz, a black and white tuxedo kitty, and Tango, a fluffy tortoiseshell kitty. Willow could not control her happiness, yet crying at the same time. Seeing her dear father and two dearest kitty friends was overwhelming. She could not be happier. Jazz and Tango leapt into her open arms, purring loudly as they nuzzled her neck with their soft, warm nose. She had missed this so much. She asked them how they knew the woman-animal healer she had observed in the sacred cave of wisdom. They had helped the little dog Star cross the Rainbow Bridge. They looked at each other and then at Willow with playful grins, but did not answer her question. One day she would know. Hawk watched and smiled at her joy, although he hoped it would be enough considering what the future would soon bring. Chapter 28. Fly with the Angels. Willow and her father had many heartwarming memories to talk about. Then Willow's father remembered his most recent and joyful dream of her. They had been building toys with the elves at the North Pole. He described his dream just as Willow had experienced hers, including meeting Rocket the reindeer. He said, "Can you imagine flying to the North Pole on the back of a bird who looks exactly like your friend Turbo?" His dream was identical. She and her friends were amazed. Had they really gone to the North Pole together? She told her father that she had the same dream. They both looked bewildered while Hawk could not help but smile. "Please, Willow, we need to talk," said her father. He sounded serious. Willow felt a pang of worry in her stomach. Her roller coaster emotions that day had tired her considerably. Jazz and Tango were lying on Willow's lap and comforting her. Then her father began to explain why she may be feeling unsettled. Jazz and Tango knew what he was about to say. "I am thrilled that you are walking the path of your life's dream, dear. Because of this, my life has been fulfilled too, so it is time for me to go." "It will be soon, Willow," he said. "Time to go?" Willow asked. "Willow, I can transition now," he said. "Transition?" asked Willow. "I do not understand." Her father continued, "Do you remember Star the dog and how she transitioned to spirit? Well, people do that also." Jellybee and Turbo looked shocked as they listened. Willow found it difficult to believe what she was hearing. She hugged her father even more intensely than before. "No, no, Dad, please don't leave me," Willow cried. Her father explained, "It will be all right, little one. You will always be Daddy's little girl, and I promise to stay nearby. One day I will return. You will recognize me, I promise. Please dry your tears, my dear. We are here now, together." They continued to talk into the night, recalling even more joyful memories. It was very late when they finally fell into a deep sleep. Willow soon awoke after feeling a softness brush across her forehead. It felt like a feather. Was it Hawk? "Willow," whispered Hawk, "can you hear me? Please wake up. Listen," he said with great urgency in his voice. She heard her father's breathing. Something was happening. She ran to her father's side. Was it time? Hawk and her friends joined her. They sat motionless, staring and listening to his every breath, not knowing what to expect next. She sensed strongly that the angel of death was close by. Chapter 29. I Will Be Back. As Willow held her father's hand, she remembered what the animals had taught her about death. But still, her anxiety grew with each weakening breath. This was her beloved father. How would she deal with the loss? There was a delay in his breathing, and then silence. Her father was gone. Willow's world stood still. "Willow, look!" Jellybee cried out. They watched as her father's spirit began to rise as a misty form from his physical body. Hawk begged her, "Willow, please, take one of my feathers. You already know that feathers contain magic. Please use it like the mystery woman had done with Star, the dog." Willow did as Hawk instructed. In a spiral motion, she whisked the feather several times around and around her father's lifeless body. They all watched as the misty form rose higher and higher until his spirit was released. By his side stood a faint silhouette of a person. It was her beloved mother. The two held hands as they began walking away, seeming to melt into the thick haze. She had always been sure that her mother would be the one to take him to the world of spirit. Then, realizing the following day was her mother's birthday, she knew the time of his parting was perfect. The two would finally celebrate together again after all these years apart. She could only imagine the vast amount of love they would share. It warmed Willow's heart. They were gone, although together again. Finally, Willow called, "Fly with the angels, Dad." She heard him reply, "Remember, I will never leave you, Willow. Please wait for me. I will be back." Tears streamed down Willow's face. For her today would be forever darkened. She loved her father and knew she would miss him so much. He had been a robust and courageous military man who had led a life full of generosity and kindness, aiding numerous individuals. He was the one who visited those who were hospitalized even when they were just mere casual acquaintances. He would be affectionately remembered by so many. There was a sickly knot in the pit of Willow's stomach. The reality was harsh. She felt empty. As she cried, Willow thought of her father's 2 teardrops that had gently and silently rolled from his left eye down onto his cheek seconds after he had passed. Tears filled with intense emotion, had spoken loudly, without uttering a spoken word. Was it possible to cry after death? She was filled with so many questions. Were they tears of sadness at leaving her behind? Were they tears of joy for whom he was joining on the other side? Perhaps both. Whatever the reason, she would never forget. Like the woman animal healer who had looked high into the sky that night, Willow did too and said, "Dad, I will see you again. You told me so, and I will hold on to that forever." She felt proud as she saluted him. Hawk was immensely proud of Willow. Chapter 30. The Gift. Willow was exhausted. As she tossed and turned, trying to sleep, she opened her eyes to see a horse with a snow-white coat approaching. Was it the same horse from before? The horse looked magical and very familiar. With each soft footstep, Willow heard the sound of tinkling bells as she pranced closer. Then, finally, the horse spoke. "Do you remember me?" At first, Willow stared at her but excitedly replied, "It is you, the horse that brought me the diva's special gifts." The horse replied, "Yes, I am also the horse you were attracted to in the sacred cave." "That was you?" asked Willow. She told the horse that Hawk said the name Sugar she had chosen for her would be okay because she looked sweet. The horse bowed to Willow and said, "I feel honored. You are very thoughtful." Sugar told Willow that she hoped she would remember her visit in the morning and assured her it was not a dream. Before Sugar vanished, she promised Willow to return. The next day, as Willow awoke, the delicate sound of softly jingling bells was on her mind. She had remembered Sugar's visit. Willow sighed contentedly, remembering when she had seen Sugar for the first time on the night the divas sent her and again inside the sacred cave. Soon, Willow giggled, thinking how she would love to ride into the sunset with this magnificent fairy tale horse. But sadness began to return. It felt like a lifetime since she had been with her father. She missed him terribly. While tending her herb and flower garden daily, Willow thought of her father's extraordinary sense of humor, which she had recognized in herself. In the past, whenever she felt down, he was able to make her laugh. They made each other laugh. Her memories of him helped cheer her up a little. As Willow swayed lazily back and forth on her newly painted cherry-red swing, she began to remember that Hawk had taught her wishes and dreams can come true, especially when there is passion. What did she hear in the distance? The familiar sound made her heart flutter with joy. Suddenly, nothing else existed except the sound that moved slowly closer. Were those Sugar's bells? Was that her father's laughter? This is the end of Book 2. Book 3, Magic of the Lotus Tiger, Walk Your Own Path. Dedication to the extraordinary potential that exists within each of us. Chapter 1, Garden of Dreams. The magical fairy horse had kept her promise, bringing Willow's father back to her. She knew she could always rely on Sugar. Colorful balloons, sparkling party hats, delicious chocolate cake with creamy, rich icing, mouth-watering strawberry ice cream, and more importantly, laughter were all a part of the celebration of her father's arrival. Willow was overcome with joy. While they celebrated, she could not help but think about her desire to visit Earth and help the animals there. Her friends, father, and dear Hawk were all supportive and eager to help. Willow shared with them that Candy Floss had revealed the only way to access Earth was through the Himalaya mountain range. If they could find the entrance to the Garden of Dreams, they would be in a secret place. Although challenging, she knew if this could be accomplished, it would allow her to return to the Star of Miracles whenever she wished to. However, first, she must find her way to the Himalayas. Willow knew that only those with the deepest desire to help animals could enter the secret and magical Himalaya mountains and Garden of Dreams. Would the gatekeeper recognize her heart's desire and allow her in? She knew Candy Floss would make all the arrangements and welcomed Willow's friends and father to join her. With a gleam in her eye, Candy Floss turned to Willow and said, "Remember, only you have the power to walk your own path." She asked the group, "Are you ready for this new adventure?" They cheered in response. Willow felt blessed to have such positive and supportive friends in her life. Willow adored the enchanted Star of Miracles, where almost anything was possible. But now it was time for a new adventure. Chapter 2, Riding with Ghost. Candy Floss led the group through the underbrush and into a forest to a cave entrance. "Ghost! Are you there?" called Candy Floss. A stunning, sleek snow leopard with a silver-white coat quickly appeared. He would be their protector and guide for their trip to the Himalaya mountains and beyond. Willow knew they would be completely safe in Ghost's capable paws. Candy Floss signaled the group to gather at a nearby clearing, where she instructed them to close their eyes. Marshmallow cheered and wished them well on their journey. Unexpectedly, Jellybee shouted, "Wait! I want to share something!" They all looked puzzled. He produced stunning white feathers, saying, "Look, these are from Snowjet's powerful wings. There is one for each of us to carry on our trip." Their eyes lit up as Jellybee gifted one to each of his friends. Willow expressed how much she missed Snowjet. She was certain that his feathers were a lucky charm. Suddenly, she was swept away. Opening her eyes, she saw herself whizzing through the turquoise blue sky on Ghost's back. Sugar held Ghost's tail gently in her mouth, while Jellybee, Turbo, and Willow's father rode on Sugar's back. Their eyes widened when they saw Willow on the back of a snow leopard with wings. She heard Hawk calling in the distance, saying he would see her on Earth when she least expected it. It was such a mysterious message. While soaring through the sky, she relived her father's return and the happiness it had brought her. Chapter 3. Roof of the World. Approaching the Himalayas, Willow was overcome with awe at seeing their majestic snow-covered peaks. She asked, "Ghost, I can barely believe my eyes. Are those really the Himalaya mountains?" Ghost replied, "Welcome to the roof of the world, Nepal's breathtaking Himalaya mountains, with many of the world's highest peaks, including Mount Everest." They were spectacular. As Ghost circled the icy peaks, he pointed out an untouched mountain considered holy due to its likeness to Lord Shiva. No human has ever set foot on it, nor would they ever be allowed to. Flying further along the vast mountain range, Willow saw distant peaks surrounded by multicolored bubbles, which Ghost said was their landing point. Nearing closer, Ghost flew lower, allowing Willow to cautiously step onto each colored bubble like they were stepping stones, eventually hopping onto a glowing pink shaft of light, jutting through the bubbles, sliding down it, and landing on a rugged yak. Vapor rose from his nostrils, and icicles hung from his long, shaggy black coat. He was a powerhouse of strength, absolutely invincible. Willow knew without a doubt that he would keep all of them safe. His exceptionally long horns swept out to each side. Instinctively, she sank her tiny fingers into his dense coat to keep them warm. Willow studied the surrounding weather conditions. It was beginning to snow heavily, and the wind was intense. A blizzard was coming. Willow asked the yak, "May I call you Ice?" The yak made a loud grunting sound, showing his approval. "It is the perfect name, Willow, and he loves it," commented Ghost. "Your name is perfect too, Ghost. After all, snow leopards are known as ghosts of the mountains," Willow commented. They continued their journey with Willow's father and friends, still riding Sugar. Willow and Ice walked alongside. Willow had moved her hands to hold on tightly to Ice's long curved horns as they cautiously descended steep, ice-covered slopes. Ice wore an old engraved copper bell around his neck, secured by a woven woolen strap. She loved the ringing sound it made as he walked. Ghost told her that yaks wear bells for a purpose. They purify the environment and awaken mindfulness as they walk through the rugged mountain terrain. Willow gazed up at the sky and spotted large birds soaring in circles. There were too many to count. Ghost told her they were mountain hawk eagles. These magnificent creatures would guide them through the blinding snow. Turbo, always eager for adventure, wanted to fly with the hawk eagles and asked Ghost for permission. Ghost happily agreed, stating that the hawk eagles would be thrilled to have him join them. Turbo asked Willow's father to come along and ride on his back. Her father, a man of few words but a heart full of love, was surprised and delighted. Together, they flew upwards and soared into the distance. Ghost pointed out unusual tracks in the snow. He asked if anyone knew what they were. They looked bewildered. They were not familiar at all. Then, excitedly, Sugar said, "May I tell them, Ghost?" She explained these were the tracks of Giant Yeti, a creature living in a mysterious place called Shambhala, also known as Shangri-La, somewhere within the frozen peaks of the Himalaya mountains. Ghost continued by saying that Yeti, with his incredibly long white fur, is known as the spirit of the glaciers and is much taller than any human. "Will we see Yeti? Is he friendly?" Willow asked enthusiastically. She had so many questions about him. Ghost explained that many people say Shambhala and Yeti are myths and the stories are fictional. Willow did not know why, but felt strongly that Shambhala and Yeti were authentic and magical. She was stunned when Ghost said that he had seen him. She knew he must be real. Chapter 4. Kingdom of Shambhala. Ghost told the group they needed to watch for Yeti. However, spotting his white coat in the snow-covered landscape would be tricky. Once again, Willow noted that, like many of her Milky Way friends, Ghost and Yeti were the color white. Ghost saw Willow in deep thought. "Willow, what are you thinking?" he asked. She told him it had been explained to her that those with great wisdom, like her friends in the Milky Way, had feathers, fur, and coats the color white. Now she realized that he and Yeti were also white. Ghost agreed that she was correct and told Willow there was another reason as well. White is used in energy healing because it contains every color in the spectrum. Its many different colors have vast healing properties. "Oh, I understand fully now," said Willow. Ghost told her that knowledge comes to the students when they are ready to receive it. The temperature dropped as the strong wind blew harder and harder, and ice pellets hit their faces. They pressed on, but visibility was challenging. Willow knew they would be safe with Ghost and ice. "What about Turbo and my father?" she asked. Ghost reassured Willow that the hawk eagles have eyes that can see through almost anything and would soon be able to return the pair to them safely. They trudged further and further through the deep snow. Finally, the weather cleared, revealing the rising moon's faint glow. The yak's cloven hooves continued to pick their way through the treacherous rocky crevices. She held on tightly. Mesmerized by their surroundings, they fell quiet. Jellybee's ears perked up when he heard Ghost tell him that perhaps Yeti liked marshmallows. Of course, everyone knew marshmallows were Jellybee's favorite. He reminded his friends he always carried marshmallow treats with him. Maybe it was time to dig them out to share from where they were hidden under his deep fur. He proudly offered his treats to his friends as they continued through the snow. The smell of sweets may tempt Yeti from his hiding place. What was that soothing sound? It seemed to float lazily with the delicate wispy clouds that appeared out of nowhere in the depths of the clear turquoise sky. "Listen," said Ghost. "Do you hear it?" Ghost told them it was the music of a sitar, a stringed instrument made of teak wood, metal, camel bone, and gourds, and that sitars were invented in medieval India. "What are gourds?" asked Turbo. Ghost explained that they are vegetables that resemble green pumpkins. He told them the sitar music was a sign that they were quickly approaching the mysterious, legendary Kingdom of Shambhala, guarded by unique beings with extraordinary supernatural powers and hidden deep inside the earth under the mountain range. Shambhala is a place of peace and silence, where love and wisdom reign, and people are immune to suffering, want, or old age. It lies on the edge of physical reality and, to those who can see it, appears as a bridge connecting the physical world to a world beyond. It is unimaginable. Why had the sitar music stopped? Suddenly, howling reverberated through the mountain peaks, quickly changing to a tremendous growl. Fearful, they looked at each other while Ghost excitedly explained that this was unexpected and rare. Yeti was most certainly nearby. He told them he felt ecstatic that they might meet the legendary creature. He could lead them deep into Shambhala. "I am so excited to hear more about Shambhala," said Willow. Ghost had a surprise for them, but he would keep it a secret for now. Meanwhile, the howling and growling continued, drowning out every other sound in the area. Yeti sounded ferocious, but Ghost assured them he would not harm them. Chapter 5. Scarlet. Another storm was blowing across the peaks. A whiteout overtook them as they continued their trek through the deep mountain snow, making it almost impossible to find their way. Willow felt grateful to be riding with her friend Ice, who was sure-footed and provided stability. Ghost cautiously led the way through the snowdrifts, with his magnificent white and gray coat glistening in the falling snowflakes that were quickly piling up on the ground. They were gone. They had lost sight of the hawk eagles. Willow squinted her eyes to see. She knew that Turbo and her father were still flying out there somewhere. Then, from high above, she heard Turbo calling to them, "I see something red, furry, and with 4 legs, but I cannot recognize what it is." Willow and Jellybee waved at them happily as they watched Turbo cautiously attempt to land on the slippery surface. He made it. They clapped with excitement. They had returned safely. A furry, red body with a small white muzzle, black nose, and tiny ears emerged. The fuzzy little creature approached them to introduce herself. Turbo flapped his wings with incredible excitement at seeing a real, live red panda. She said, "I am Scarlet, Yeti's closest friend. Please follow me. Yeti is waiting for you. But first, guess what, Jellybee? Yeti loves sweets and hot chocolate just like you. He has plenty to share, and it will keep us warm." Jellybee could not believe his furry little black ears. Yeti loves sweets. How did Scarlet know his name and that he loved sweets too? Willow also had a million questions. What color are Yeti's eyes? Was he as tall as people say? Does Yeti speak English? Will he like us? They followed Scarlet along a narrow, icy path. The loud howling continued to echo throughout the mountains. The pathway spiraled higher and higher, causing them great exhaustion. Eventually, they reached the ice-covered mountain peak. Scarlet held up her delicate paw, asking the group to listen. "Wait here briefly," she said. They stood on a glacier. Scarlet ran to the edge to look over, then quickly jumped back onto her hind legs. Excitedly, she said, "Let's go! Yeti is welcoming us." Still standing on the edge, Scarlet turned and explained, "This, my friends, is the secret entrance to Shambhala. Please move slowly to the edge of the glacier we are standing on. Sit down and allow your legs to dangle over the edge freely. But do not look down," she warned. "I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to trust me so that you can continue your journey," said Scarlet. "On the count of 3, I want you to jump into the frozen crevice below. Do not be frightened. Please, 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 I beg you to trust me." Scarlet saw Turbo fussing nervously. To ease his fear, he tried reminding himself that he could fly if he had to. Had Scarlet read his mind? She moved closer and began smoothing his wing feathers, hoping to reassure him. She said, "Turbo, it is essential that you do not fly. You will see that it will be fine, but you must not fly under any circumstance." Although highly fearful, he told her he understood. "Is everyone ready?" Scarlet asked. "We are, although we are incredibly nervous," Willow's father replied. Scarlet instructed everyone to close their eyes tightly, and she would begin the countdown. "Here we go," called Scarlet. On 3, she was thrilled to see each person drop over the edge and into the crevice far below. They all screamed as they fell. Willow felt the wind rushing past her ears as she fell further downwards. Would it ever end? She sensed the sweet smell of strawberries and dared to slightly open her eyes. At the same time, and with a splash, she landed in a pile of creamy strawberry ice cream that did not feel cold. Scarlet heard more screams and peeked over the edge to see the bottomless crevice. Suddenly, laughter filled the air, and she knew everyone had made it safely. Scarlet was pleased as they had demonstrated their trust in her. Willow and her friends found themselves in piles of delicious ice cream, with Jellybee wearing a big red strawberry on top of his head. Everyone burst into laughter. It was his lucky day, as strawberry was one of his favorite flavors. Splash! Scarlet and Ghost landed next to them. Scarlet urged everyone to eat as much of the creamy treat as they wished. Jellybee happily dove in, eating his way through mounds of ice cream. Scarlet knew that Sugar and Ice preferred a sweetgrass treat. She led them to a spot where they could enjoy it and would rejoin them later. Chapter 6. Chocolate Chips and Cherry Chunks. Yeti, a towering figure, stood on a ledge of solid ice. His hands were pressed together as if in prayer. He bowed, saying, Namaste, my friends. Welcome to Shambhala. My home is within a realm of mystery, intrigue, and profound wisdom." The air was still as they stood, transfixed by his presence. His voice resonated through the silence as he beckoned them to follow, promising a journey beyond their wildest dreams. Yeti had jumped down from the ledge of ice. Scarlet said, "Yeti is graciously welcoming you into his home. Follow closely." In awe, they did as Scarlet suggested. They walked cautiously, picking their way from one slippery ice block to the next, finally entering a mouth-watering ice cream cave. The walls were a frozen delight, adorned with delicious chocolate, cherry, strawberry, pistachio, and vanilla flavors. Jellybee quickly noticed chocolate chips and cherry chunks protruding from the ice cream walls. "Look, Willow!" Jellybee squealed. "Lollipops and gumdrops of all colors are hanging from the ceiling." Yeti told them in Nepal, gumdrops are called spice drops because they contain spices such as cinnamon and clove. Jellybee was fascinated. "Please sit, my friends. Are you surprised that I am not the myth they say I am?" he asked, and then explained that his friend Candy Floss told him about the purpose of their journey. Fascinated, they listened intensely as Yeti continued, telling Willow he had chosen where she could best help animals and nature. With excitement, Willow broke the group's silence and asked him to reveal more. "First, you need a well-deserved rest and some lunch," he said. They were served delicious hot chai tea, spicy vegetable momos, spicy Mustang potatoes, and black lentil butter soup. After a short while, they felt satisfied, rested, and ready to continue their journey. "Will you join us on our journey, Yeti?" Willow inquired. Yeti expressed his eagerness to come along, but unfortunately he could not, and explained that he must remain in the high elevations of ice, snow, and cold temperatures. He would not survive elsewhere. Willow felt sad. "Will you tell us now, Yeti? Where is the special place we are going?" Willow asked. Their eyes widened in anticipation as they listened to Yeti explain that they would venture into the wild and stunning Bardia jungle, bordered by the Great Karnali River in western Nepal. Although it was a considerable distance away, he assured them he would expedite their trip. To reach the heart of the jungle, they had to pass through a unique portal, a gateway to the magical Garden of Dreams, a place filled with unexpected surprises and thrilling challenges. They were ready. They were overjoyed to see Sugar and Ice waiting outside Yeti's cave. Yeti explained that Ice and Scarlet would accompany them briefly. However, they would eventually return to be with him high in Nepal's kingdom of ice and snow. Chapter 7. A shiny gold foil package. "That sound, what do I hear?" asked Scarlet. She looked over at Yeti, grinning playfully. "What must that be?" Yeti asked with a twinkle in his eye. They knew Willow and her friends would be surprised to see how they would travel down the icy slopes. With tremendous excitement, they watched a pair of silver-gray wolves pulling a sleek, futuristic-looking chrome sleigh towards them with snow flying high. They were not just any wolves, they were powerful and impressive. Yeti introduced the wolves as Karma and Aura. They would skillfully take Willow and her friends down the treacherous slopes. "Willow, I want you to know that you are the only human to ever have set foot inside my cave. Your visit has been so very special to me. I will remember our time together always," Yeti explained, his voice filled with warmth and affection. Willow's eyes teared up, thinking how incredible Yeti was and how lucky she was to have such wonderful friends. Yeti asked, "Are you each bundled up enough to keep warm on your trip?" "Yes," they called out. Karma and Aura, with their noses pointing high into the air, howled loudly as they prepared to pull the sleigh forward for takeoff. Yeti told them to jump into the sleigh quickly, handing Willow a shiny gold foil package with a note tucked inside. "It is so pretty. Thank you," she said. Yeti moved swiftly towards Jellybee. "And this is especially for you, Jellybee," he said, placing a large red velvet bag filled with candy onto his lap. Yeti laughed as he thought how happy Jellybee would be when he opened it. These are token gifts from your friends who live high in the land of ice and snow. Now hold on tight and enjoy your ride," said Yeti, calling out to them while waving goodbye. Karma and Aura were supercharged. They raced down the uneven mountain terrain, expertly piloting their sleigh at immeasurable speeds. They moved so smoothly that for a moment, Willow thought they were flying. Her eyes watered from their remarkable speed and the cold. Willow was surprised to see Ghost, Sugar, Scarlet, and Ice traveling alongside, easily keeping up. Then, there it was. The tree line was coming into view. The snow was looking soft and slushy. The temperature was definitely beginning to warm. At this point, Scarlet told Willow that this was as far as she and Ice could go, as they must stay in the cold temperatures with Yeti. Scarlet assured them Karma and Aura would get them safely to the bottom. Although sad, Willow and her friends understood. They waved goodbye, watching their little red panda and shaggy black yak friends begin their trek high into the fluffy clouds of the frigid, hidden mountain peaks. The sun became more blinding as they ventured closer to the bottom. Ahead, Willow could see a bottomless gorge with an incredibly long red suspension bridge strung above it. Would they be crossing it? Karma and Aura stopped unexpectedly a short distance from its approach. Chapter 8. The Spiraling Bridge. Willow was afraid and puzzled when she saw the bridge starting to swing erratically. Ghost called out, "Karma! Aura! Let's go! Willow, this will be fun, I promise." Karma and Aura stepped directly onto the bridge and did not slow down. The bridge moved even more intensely with them on it until it finally flipped upside down. They could not watch. "Do not look down," shouted Turbo. They held on for their lives as the movement grew even stronger. The sleigh spun at high speed, rotating around and around in a spiral without slowing. They were free-falling. Ghost had said it would be fun, but was it? Through tightly closed eyes, they could tell it was dark. No one was brave enough to look. Then, abruptly, everyone flew out of the sleigh. Their bodies twisted and turned until they finally landed on something soft and warm. With incredible excitement, Ghost shouted, "I told you this would be fun!" They dared not move until he told them it was safe. "You can open your eyes now." A soft voice said, "Welcome to our humble home." Willow looked to her left in the direction of the voice where Karma was standing. On the opposite side was Aura, who said, "We feel blessed that you are here. Please rest a while, and then we will continue our journey. Sugar will meet us at our destination." They all agreed that was a good idea. It had been an exhilarating day for them, but were they really in the pit of a wolf den? Excited, Jellybee suggested he open the velvet bag Yeti had given him. Willow was excited to open her gift too. "You go first, Jellybee," she said. Carefully, he opened the festive red bag to find lollipops and gumdrops of every flavor he could have hoped for. Yeti was very generous and kind. He knew how much Jellybee loved sweets. As always, he did not hesitate to share them with his friends. Willow happily opened her gold foil package to find a bronze prayer wheel with embedded turquoise and orange coral stones. This was indeed a special gift from Yeti. She began spinning the prayer wheel, knowing each rotation sent loving prayers of peace and hope into the world. Ghost watched as Willow contemplated the spinning wheel, and he asked, "Do you know that each time you spin the prayer wheel, you will grow in wisdom and compassion?" Willow felt blessed and wished Yeti was there to thank. She wanted to hug him for his thoughtfulness. Willow's father, Jellybee, and Turbo were silent. They had all noticed an envelope attached to the prayer wheel. Willow picked it up and read the writing on the front, which asked her to open it only after entering the Garden of Dreams. Their curiosity grew. Ghost asked, "Did everyone enjoy the ride across the spiraling suspension bridge?" "I did." Turbo quickly answered that at the time he had been afraid, but looking back he agreed it had been exciting. They all agreed and decided it had been great fun. "Is it time to tell them?" asked Aura with a sparkle in her eye. Karma giggled and continued, "Oh yes, Ghost. I think you should. The group looked puzzled. You are right, Karma and Aura, Ghost replied. Ghost jumped onto a shelf in the wolf den to be seen clearly and began to speak. It was amazing how he moved, with ease and elegance. Listen closely, my friends. The wildly swinging bridge you experienced was the portal Yeti told us about. We went through it to land in this safe spot, and thanks to our wolf friends, they kindly shared their comfortable dwelling with us deep inside the secure heart of the portal. Willow, now you know that Yeti is the gatekeeper of this magical place. Soon we will enter the Garden of Dreams, where your journey will begin. Chapter 9. A golden streak across the sky. Karma and Aura explained that entering the Garden of Dreams must be after dark. Willow was intrigued. Karma replied, "We must go during a full moon, which happens to be tonight." The wolf den buzzed with excitement. After enjoying a tasty Nepalese dinner of vegetable dumplings and spicy potatoes, Ghost said there was something he wanted them to see. After following him to a dark nook in the back of the den, they watched as he carefully reached and slid open a large section of the ceiling. The porthole exposed the clear night sky with stars that twinkled like diamonds. Ghost suggested they all come closer to have a good look. There it is, the stunning full moon. Jellybee asked, "Can Candy, Floss, and Marshmallow see us? Should we wave?" Aura replied, "Yes, please wave. They are watching for you." Staring at the Milky Way in the dark sky, they fondly remembered their new friends and the meaningful messages they had shared. Ghost continued, "Watch closely." A golden streak crossed the sky from seemingly nowhere, coming closer into view. Were those flames brilliant, flashing green eyes? They watched as the golden scales of Flame's long tail shimmered in the moonlight while zigzagging across the black sky. "Your friend Flame has returned to take you to the Garden of Dreams." They were overjoyed. Ghost suggested they take turns stepping onto the shelf and pushing themselves up through the porthole to the outside. "Please wait for me there," said Ghost. Flame had landed on the rocky ground, but before hopping onto her long tail, they all looked up to the moon and waved to their friends, Candy, Floss, and Marshmallow. The moon's silver light changed briefly to pink and then back again. They knew that Candy, Floss, and Marshmallow had seen them and were returning the wave. They saw the scales on Flame's tail had lifted up to form seats for them to ride securely. While still waving goodbye to Karma and Aura, Flame charged straight up into the sky, curved to the left and cut through the night, proceeding to glide faster and faster. They knew Flame would get them to their destination quickly. Fire and smoke from her mighty jaws flew over their heads. There was no doubt that Flame was exceptional. Flame neared the entrance to the Garden of Dreams. She hovered above until Ghost came into sight to help Willow and her friends off Flame's back and onto the ground. "Put your arms up high into the air like you are cheering, then lean back slightly. Flame will do the rest," instructed Ghost. The group followed his instructions. Within a blink of an eye, vigorously, Flame shook herself from the top of her head to the tip of her tail like a dog shaking off water. Her scales had flipped upwards, ejecting them into the air and coming to land in the soothing water of the Karnali River, a tributary of India's sacred Ganges River. Ghost was excited for Willow. This was the gateway to a mysterious and secretive place deep in Nepal. Chapter 10. An elephant named Moon. They looked at each other and laughed while gently floating down the river, with its gentle bends here and there. Finally, after rounding a corner, ahead on the riverbank, a massive elephant stood, staring directly at them. Jellybee giggled nervously. Ghost, flying above them, introduced the elephant by the name of Moon. As they approached Moon, she lowered her long, strong trunk towards the water. Ghost told them Moon was asking them to climb onto her trunk, which they did. She raised them high into the sky and cautiously placed each onto her large, broad back. Turbo commented, "What a view from up here." The sacred Bardia jungle awaited. Reassuringly, Ghost said, "You are safe with Moon. She has arranged for us to receive a special blessing from Nepal's living goddess, the Kumari. Jellybee asked Willow if she had ever heard of the Kumari, but she had not. Ghost raised his eyes and stared at something directly behind them. Curious, they turned to see what was so intriguing and took a step backwards in surprise. A young girl was sitting on a low branch of a magnificent and tranquil banyan tree. Is she the Kumari? Her hair was jet black and she wore a bright red satin gown trimmed in gold and a matching headdress. However, in a flash, the vision vanished. The group fell silent. What had happened? Ghost held his breath and asked quietly, "Did anyone see the Kumari smile?" He watched closely as they each searched their memories. Confidently, Willow spoke first, saying, "No, she definitely did not smile. I am positive because I wondered why she had appeared to look stern." They looked at each other and nodded in agreement with Willow. Ghost drew in a deep breath. Why had he seemed anxious? "Is it good or bad, Ghost?" asked Willow's father. Ghost exclaimed, "Fabulous! Incredible! Amazing!" And then explained, "When the Kumari does not smile, it is a promising and fortunate blessing." Now they understood. Ghost explained further that the power of the Kumari is perceived to be so strong that even a glimpse of her is a blessing, and believed to bring good fortune. Jellybee commented, "I feel honored, do you?" The group agreed overwhelmingly. Remembering the envelope with the prayer wheel Yeti had given her, Willow pulled the gold foil from her pocket. "Yeti said we could open this after we entered the Garden of Dreams." Ghost explained that the gold foil was the color of the sun and asked if Willow knew what that might symbolize. She was unsure. Ghost told them that in Buddhism, gold has a special meaning, representing knowledge, enlightenment, purity, happiness, and freedom. She knew that Yeti had wrapped it in gold, especially for her. Their curiosity grew as she cautiously broke the seal. Yeti's note asked Willow to find the magical golden lotus with its extraordinary energies. But why? What did he mean? Flame had circled her long golden body around the group. Her large, brilliant green eyes flashed happily as she watched a bat fly out of the darkness, recognizing it was a magical creature. The bat had gently tapped Willow on her head with its wingtip. Willow flinched, wondering what had touched her. Turbo giggled. Ghost commented that many people believe that bats foretell death, especially if they touch you. However, here in the mysterious Nepal jungle, death does not always mean the loss of life. Instead, it means releasing the old to make room to bring in the new, along with an increased sense of self-awareness. Willow replied that she was honored to receive such good fortune. Chapter 11. Howling and cat screams, Royal Bengal tigers, sloth bears, greater one-horned rhinoceros, plus other fascinating creatures roam freely in the Bardia jungle. They hope to see these magnificent animals up close. The distant sounds of howling, cat screams, deer screeches, and the hooting of the tiny jungle owlet filled the air. Flame listened closely. She had chosen to stay with the group in case they needed her, but secretly she hoped to meet a distant relative, the king cobra snake. "Let's rest under the banyan tree," suggested Ghost. After their long journey, the group felt a little tired and fell asleep in the cool shade. When they awoke, it was almost dark. Ghost stood before them with a hollowed-out log filled with vegetables and fruit. They thanked him for his thoughtfulness. Ghost said, "You had a visitor while you slept. Look behind you." Willow jumped up and ran to put her arms around Sugar's neck. "I am so happy to see you." Everyone was happy to see Sugar. They had hoped she would return soon. She was a cherished part of their family. After eating, Willow realized she had dreamt during her short nap and began to share it with the group. "Ghost, I saw the Kumari in my dream." Again, she did not smile. The group erupted in cheers. Willow described how the Kumari cupped a brilliant orange marigold in her hands. With excitement, Ghost explained the marigold is an auspicious symbol in Nepal, promising a successful outcome. He suggested they celebrate this unforgettable moment. The light of the full moon covered the jungle landscape as Willow and her friends formed a circle. They happily danced and sang while fireflies flitted about. Willow waved frantically while looking up into the starry night sky. She knew that Candy, Floss, and Marshmallow would be watching, her gaze still affixed to the sky, their star constellation friends, Aquila the eagle, Cygnus the swan, Taurus the bull, and Big Bear and Little Bear began to form clearly. They stood in awe, watching as they became more vivid. It was heartwarming. "Listen," said Turbo. Was it a drum beat? They all heard it, steady and distant. Willow watched fireflies weave in and out through the trees. Looking through the shadows, something was different. "Ghost? Are those animals standing over there in the dark?" she asked, pointing in their direction. He smiled. Squinting her eyes to see better, she was sure she saw a rhino, a leopard, a small herd of elephants, a family of wild boar, swamp deer, and many mischievous gray langur monkeys with distinctive black faces. She screamed with excitement and asked, "Are they real?" Ghost assured her they were. The jungle animals had been eagerly awaiting her arrival. They wanted to participate in the festivities. "Come, come! Please join us," invited Willow. One by one, animals wandered into the circle. They were not just animals. They were friends. Jellybee rolled around on the ground in typical panda fashion, while Turbo performed his usual wing-flapping dance. They encouraged the animals to join as the mysterious drumbeat continued. They all laughed as the monkeys leapt quickly from the ground to a tree branch, swinging back and forth in unison. They needed very little encouragement. A baby elephant began to run excitedly in circles, wildly tossing his trunk, while the rest looked on and eventually joined in. Willow noticed that one animal was missing, and she felt sad. She had desperately wanted to see a Royal Bengal tiger and wondered if she would ever meet one. As the drumbeat continued into the night, the festivities also continued until they tired and fell asleep. The next day, as Willow awoke, she noticed the mystifying drumbeat had stopped, and her new animal friends were nowhere to be seen. "Wake up!" she called out to Jellybee, Turbo, her father, Ghost, and Moon. Flame, their protector who sat guard and watched over the group, was always awake and alert. An emerald dragon does not need to sleep. "Ghost, I have such a strong desire to meet a tiger. Do you think I ever will?" Willow asked with a mix of excitement and curiosity. Ghost's response left her stunned. "Find the golden lotus and you will find the tiger." Ghost continued, "Yeti knows that the spirit tiger is a revered teacher and significant figure in shamanism who imparts wisdom to those who trust their instincts and embrace courage." The quest for the golden lotus awaited and she must go. She told her friends that she must search for it alone. The group said they would await her return. Ghost assured her she was safe in the jungle because the animals were her friends. Chapter 12. Parrots, Monkeys, and Fireflies. The jungle was a dazzling symphony of life. The parrots' screech, whistle, and clicking sounds echoed through the dense tree canopy, while a speedy mongoose scurried into the deep grass. Monkeys of all shapes and sizes entertained her as they swung from the trees, their acrobatic displays and playful chatter filling the air. Willow loved the jungle. As she walked, Ghost's words continuously repeated in her ears, "Find the golden lotus, and you will find the tiger." The days turned into weeks. Willow's heart pounded as she watched for lurking crocodiles and water snakes while she waded through jungle rivers. Fearlessly, she scaled rough terrain and fought through thick jungle underbrush where anything might be encountered. The trek was not for the faint of heart, although she loved every minute, realizing the strength of character and resilience she possessed to accomplish such a task. While Willow slept, Flame hovered above, reporting to her friends that she was resting comfortably. One morning, she was startled to awake to complete silence. The usual jungle sounds had disappeared. Determined not to feel worried or fearful, she propped herself up against a tree to listen and watch over the grasslands sprawled in front of her. Then she heard a tap, tap, tapping sound of a woodpecker. The sound rang clearly through the silence. She wished she could see him. Maybe it was a great slaty, the world's largest woodpecker that lives in Nepal. But did the tapping mean something? She continued sitting until the sun lowered and daylight turned into dusk. A distant flickering light caught her attention. More fireflies, perhaps? No, this was a single light. Willow stared as the shimmering golden light moved closer and hung in mid-air before her eyes. It was the golden lotus, and it was exquisite. Instinctively, she held out her hand. The lotus floated towards her and gently placed itself onto her palm. Its shimmering gold light grew in intensity with every passing second. It felt alive. She was astonished. Was it speaking to her? She knew she must pay close attention and notice every movement. Willow's excitement was growing. Unsure of what to do next, she continued to wait and watch. Her focus on the lotus intensified until she was distracted only by a blurred movement of something flying past at top speed. She looked around, but saw nothing. "Over here! Willow, I am over here," said a familiar voice. Willow looked about, but no one was in sight. "Up here, high on a branch," came the voice. She cried joyously, "You said you would meet me on Earth. Hawk, I am so happy to see you." Hawk flew down to ground level. His eyes were drawn to the magnificent lotus she was holding in her hand. "Isn't it breathtaking, Hawk?" She began telling him what Ghost had told her about finding the tiger. She was sure the lotus was telling her something, although she did not understand it yet. Hawk suggested she close her eyes, relax, and let the light fill her senses. She proceeded to follow his instructions. After a short while, her eyes suddenly popped open in disbelief. She stared at Hawk, and then the lotus. Willow remembered Snowjet's feather and took it from her pocket to hold it tightly in her hand. "Hawk, we need to start walking. He is waiting for us," said Willow. Although puzzled, Hawk suggested they go now rather than wait for morning. Chapter 13. A Mysterious Drumbeat. Hawk's eyes were made for the darkness, so he led the way, with Willow following close behind, holding the glowing lotus in her hand. She whispered to him, saying they must be walking in the correct direction because the lotus's light intensified with each turn. Hawk, intrigued by the lotus's mysterious behavior, agreed. They walked for hours. There it was again. The mysterious drumbeat was steady, thundering through the trees. Willow felt its powerful vibration in the center of her chest. Hawk suggested they follow the beat. As they walked through more underbrush, Willow realized how relaxed she had been since holding the lotus. What was its secret? The rising sun moved higher into the sky, intensifying the temperature. They tired but did not falter and pressed on through heavy underbrush, across swift rivers, and over expansive grasslands, eating plentiful jungle fruit to satisfy their hunger. Why was the glow of the lotus flickering in unison with the drumbeat? The two seemed to be connected. "Hawk, what is happening?" asked Willow. He was confident it was the perfect omen. Perhaps a sign that they were about to enter a magical world. But he kept that to himself, for now. As night drew close, they attempted to find a resting place. The drumbeat had continued for hours, but its rhythm now heightened dramatically. The lotus began to flicker wildly, and its light danced in the darkness. "Do not move!" Hawk's voice was filled with urgency. The drumbeat stopped abruptly, replaced by a low, deep growl, followed by a much louder growl. There was no mistaking. A tiger was close. The golden lotus suddenly illuminated every possible color and was blindingly bright. Willow felt strangely calm, as if the tiger's presence was not a threat. Could she have a bond with this creature of the wild? Chapter 14. A Tiger's Heart. Willow and Hawk stood mesmerized as they gazed directly into the stunning turquoise eyes of a majestic tiger. Slowly, the tiger began to circle them. A thunderous and powerful drumbeat echoed throughout the jungle with each of his footsteps. Willow quickly realized there was no drum. It had been this magnificent wild tiger walking through the jungle. As the tiger stared into Willow's eyes, the golden lotus she held in her hand expanded considerably and suddenly leapt into the tiger's massive chest. They watched in awe as the lotus settled gently into his heart and transformed into a mass of light, vibrating and reflecting every imaginable color, surrounded by a radiant aura that appeared to have no end. Willow was in awe, remembering Ghost's words. "Find the golden lotus, and you will find the tiger." The lotus Willow had held in her hand was the tiger's heart that had shown them the way. "Greetings!" his voice boomed. "I have been waiting for you. Hawk, thank you for accompanying Willow." Hawk bowed respectfully and responded, "The pleasure is all mine." Willow was more confused than ever. Then, unexpectedly, the tiger turned and bowed to her. "You may call me Wasabi," she gasped with surprise. "Please allow me to explain why you are here. Because of our mutual friend, Candy Floss, I have known about you and Hawk for quite some time. I also know about your time spent in the Milky Way, on the moon, and most recently on the Star of Miracles. In all these places, you were taught about ancient energy healing and ways of life, with your greatest mission always to help the animals." He continued, "If you reflect on your journey from the Star of Miracles through the Himalayas and into the jungle with your friends and father, you will see that your trip was orchestrated entirely for us to meet. Willow, I have such great respect for you. I want to experience your powerful healing energies firsthand and would greatly appreciate learning some of your techniques. I want to be able to help the jungle animals after you have returned to the Star of Miracles." "I would be honored," Willow replied with gratitude. Wasabi replied, "You now know that the golden lotus and my heart are the same, which is magical. While it was in your hand, the lotus absorbed your healing energies, and because of that, my aura grew tremendously when it returned to me. The lotus also gave you some of my magic, and in this way, we will be connected forever. Like you, I want the best for others. Some fear me, although it is only because of my growl and appearance, which can be deceiving, and this I am really a very gentle soul." Chapter 15. Willow's Namesake. Wasabi expressed his gratitude to Hawk for staying with Willow for several days inside the sacred Cave of Wisdom, where she had been introduced to animal energy healing. With a twinkle in his eye, Hawk looked over at Willow and smiled. "Shall we start right away?" she asked. Wasabi agreed, but told her he had something he wanted to show her first. "Follow me," he said. Wasabi and Willow walked side by side along a winding path, ducking low-hanging vines and moss, while Hawk flew close behind. She was amazed to feel how powerful he was. Shortly, Wasabi stopped and then approached a large boulder. It was no match for his strength as Wasabi used his nose to push it aside, revealing an opening. He asked her to take a look. Deep inside, she saw a pair of incredibly brilliant green strobe lights. Their source was shrouded in mystery. She looked at Wasabi questioningly as he began calling, "Come, little one." The lights were blinding. The anticipation grew until a purple baby tiger stood before her with neon green strobe lights coming from her eyes. Willow needed to shield her eyes to get a good look. The light was piercing, and the little tiger's color was beyond belief. Wasabi introduced them. "This is baby Willow. Yes, she has been named after you," he commented. Willow was speechless. Wasabi asked, "Can you see baby Willow's great healing powers radiating from her eyes? She is all-powerful, and I would like you to be the one to teach her how to direct the energies in the best possible way." "I would love to help, Wasabi. A purple baby tiger with neon green strobe light eyes is a rare and mighty being needed on Earth. I am astonished by her." As the days passed, Willow, baby Willow, Wasabi, and Hawk were inseparable until it was time for them to part. The time they spent together was filled with baby Willow practicing her craft. Energy healing had been given to monkeys, sloths, and even rhinoceros. Wasabi and Willow had also traded a few new techniques. It had been the most fantastic experience, but she knew they needed to return to the Star of Miracles soon. Willow had never thought her desire to help animals would lead her to a Nepal jungle, where she would befriend a magical tiger with a golden lotus heart and a purple baby tiger with neon green strobe light eyes. This was more than she could ever have hoped for. After a group hug, Hawk looked at Willow and said, "Ready. We will get there faster if you hop on my back and we ride together." He extended his wings so she could easily climb up. She loved riding with Hawk. His feathers were soft and warm, and she felt safe. Chapter 16. Where is he? Waving enthusiastically to baby Willow and Wasabi, Willow happily shouted, "I declare October 4th, World Animal Day, and for you especially, July 29th, World Tiger Day." Wasabi's entire body shimmered and glowed as the magical lotus inside him pulsated and radiated brightly, reflecting his gratitude. They watched as Willow and Hawk flew off to rejoin their friends, knowing they would be eager to share every detail of their exciting adventure. Hawk weaved masterfully through the trees, landing in a grassy spot far below. Willow was always amazed by his skill. The air was filled with joy as Jellybee shouted, "Willow is back, and Hawk is with her." Once on the ground, they received warm hugs from everyone. Turbo, the comedian, added his wild wing-flapping dance, which was always entertaining. That evening, as Willow, Hawk, and their friends huddled around a crackling bonfire beneath a star-studded sky, ready to listen to Willow and Hawk's captivating experience, Willow excitedly cried out, "Look, everyone! Do you see the moon changing to pink?" Hawk asked, "Do you think baby Willow is waving to Candy Floss and Marshmallow?" They looked bewildered. Hawk continued, "We will explain soon." Willow and Hawk looked at each other and giggled, knowing their friends would love the story they were about to share. Their eyes widened as they watched lights begin to dance across the sky. Willow looked around and asked, "Where is Ghost?" They were all bewildered at his absence. It was not like him to disappear without a trace. She called his name louder and louder, but there was no answer. Is he okay? They were all worried and began to organize a search for him in the dense, dark jungle. What if Ghost cannot be found? Could they find their way back to the Star of Miracles alone? It was decided that dividing into pairs would be the most effective way to search. Crickets chirped as Willow and her friends entered the underbrush of the dark, damp jungle. Then Jellybee spoke up. "Shh. Listen closely. Do you hear it?" The silence was so intense that you could hear their breathing. Like a flash from the heavens, a silver-white streak with a neon green glow crossed the night sky and flew towards them. Baffled, Hawk asked Willow, "Is that Ghost?" He hesitated and continued, "And is baby Willow with him?" It was Ghost. They watched him frolicking in the sky, using his elegant white wings to tumble and rotate while neon green trailed behind his every move. What a show! Ghost excitedly called to them, "Come quickly. I will meet you at the bonfire. I have something incredible to tell you." This is the end of Book 3. Copyright and disclaimer. Willow's Magical Life with Animals book series is a work of fiction. While reference may be made to actual events or existing locations, the names, characters, places, and incidents are either the product of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, business establishments, events, or locales is entirely coincidental. Willow's Magical Life with Animals. Copyright 2023 by Adrian Starr Amadeo. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic or mechanical, including photocopy, recording, or by any information and retrieval systems, or in any manner whatsoever without the written permission of the publisher and author. Audiobook cover by Shannon Graham, publisher's logo by Olivia Pro Design. ISBN 9781-7380-27385, created and produced in Canada, published by Starlight Fables, Vancouver, Canada. Email mystarlightfables@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.